Another boring podcast. Mustafa Al Jazari through the police body cams. Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. Now, this is a heavy title. The title says a lot. We say Mustafa through the police body cam because today we have the body cams that are under seal that prosecutor Sarah Sammy has been concealing for the past 2 years. The discovery that she's been sealing, she went to Judge Carol Weimer and she got a judge order to seal off the body cams, seal off the discovery from the community, from Mustafa's family, from Mustafa himself. It's been 2 years. Mustafa is a pre-trial detainee. He's been sitting in a county jail in solitary confinement without a preliminary hearing, without a trial. And his evidence are concealed from himself. It's concealed from the community, from the family, from Mustafa himself. Charlene, hello, hello, hello. We're waiting for everybody to join the conversation. We're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. We're going to be going over the body cams that are sealed by the county. The discovery that's sealed by the county. Now, for a prosecutor that screams Mustafa is guilty, she is terrified that the discovery and the body cams are out and is being discussed and watched by the community. For a prosecutor that screams Mustafa is guilty, why is she terrified that we get to watch the body cam, that we get to watch the dash camera, that we get to go over the discovery? This prosecutor has a lot to hide, and she's been lying about Mustafa Al Jazari for 2 years. And it seems to be a common practice of Prince William County that anytime you have police misconduct, they get a judge order to seal off the body cam. And instead of having accountability, and instead of holding those police officers accountable, they seal off everything. And they cover up for their police officers. Now, we're going to look up what the news is talking about Mustafa Al Jazari. When you type Mustafa Al Jazari, NBC4 repeats the narrative of the police department.
Questions being raised in the case of a man charged with murder for a crash that killed his girlfriend and her for tonight. There are new questions being raised in the case of a man charged with murder for a crash that killed his girlfriend and her
Now keep in mind, there is a dash camera inside the vehicle. That dash camera is sealed off by the prosecutor, by the Commonwealth attorney, by the police department. And they're terrified that today we have this dash camera and we're taking a deep dive into it. And we're watching this dash camera and we see that it's a vehicle accident. They say that Mustafa intentionally crashed his vehicle. But when we watch the dash camera, we see a vehicle accident. They say that Mustafa was arguing with his girlfriend in a heated argument inside the vehicle with his girlfriend. He crashed the vehicle on purpose. When we watch the dash camera, we see that there is no argument inside the vehicle, and this is a vehicle accident.
5-year-old daughter last year.
They come after Prince William's police chief ruled the investigating officer had violated department policy. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief
violated department policy. Now we have evidence that the investigator, the main investigator, Investigator Robert Drum, falsified Mustafa's statement on the police report. He wrote in that police report that Mustafa told him that he was arguing inside the vehicle with his girlfriend, that he was angry at his girlfriend inside the vehicle. We have a recording of that conversation that we'll take a deep dive into. That recording showed that Mustafa never said that. The investigator Robert Drum simply falsified the police report and wrote that in the police report. We took that audio to Internal Affairs, Prince William County. They ran an investigation, and they sent us a letter admitting that this investigator falsified the police report.
Julie Carey spoke to the driver's defense attorney about why he thinks the finding casts doubt on the case.
Mustafa Al-Jazeera has been behind bars for almost a year now, accused of intentionally driving his car into oncoming traffic, a crash that killed Dorothy Fontaine and her 5-year-old daughter, Empress. Initially charged with manslaughter, the charges were later upgraded to second-degree murder. Al-Jazeera's family insists the crash was an accident. The defendant's brothers filed an internal affairs complaint with the Prince William County Police, alleging the investigating officer, quote, falsified a portion of his police report.
Not a portion, the whole entire police report. When you say that Mustafa told you that I was arguing inside the vehicle with my girlfriend, I was angry at my girlfriend inside the vehicle, that's falsifying the police report. It's disturbing for Julie Carey with NBC4 to downplay what this investigator have done.
To say that the couple was arguing before the crash. Al-Jazeera's brother provided a taped version of a phone conversation that contradicted portions of the written police report. Last month, the Al-Jazeera family received this brief letter from Prince William Police Chief Peter Newsham reading, the investigation revealed that master police officer...
If we go back just a little bit,
the crash with police report.
my complaint with Internal Affairs is very specific. The investigator Robert Drum falsified my brother's statement on the police report. That in his police report wrote that Mustafa told him that I was arguing inside the vehicle, that I was angry at my girlfriend inside the vehicle. Mustafa never said that. My complaint was very specific to Internal Affairs, to First Sergeant Sean Shelton. That's the complaint. And I supplied him with an audio where Mustafa never said that this investigator falsified my brother's police report. And for Julie Carey to downplay what this investigator have done, Investigator Robert Drum is protecting the police department. Julie Carey, you have a lot to answer for. And we'll take a deep dive into what Julie Carey has been doing for the past 2 years and covering up for this police department.
That the couple was arguing before the crash. Al-Jazeera's brother provided a taped version of a phone conversation that contradicted portions of the written police report. Last month, the Al-Jazeera family received this brief letter from Prince William Police Chief Peter Newsham reading, the investigation revealed that Master Police Officer Drum violated department policy, therefore appropriate corrective action has been taken.
For them to say violated department policy and not hold this investigator accountable, they say they held him accountable. How? He still worked for the police department. A supplement report has not been provided where they fixed what this investigator falsified. I mean, as early as a bond hearing, as early as the last bond hearing, the prosecutor gets up in court and she tells Judge Carol Weimer, Your Honor, Mustafa told investigator Robert Drum that he was arguing inside the vehicle, that he was angry at his girlfriend. And then Mustafa's lawyer at the time stands up and he says, Your Honor, we have a letter from Internal Affairs, from the Chief of Police, Peter Newsham, admitting that they falsified the police report. And we have an audio that Mustafa never said that this investigator falsified the police report. Judge Carol Weimer listens to the audio in court, watches the dash camera, and rules out that this is a vehicle accident and gives Mustafa his bond. This prosecutor, and we'll take a deep dive into what this prosecutor did, what Judge Carol Weimer did, and how he ended up revoking the bond because the prosecutor says, Your Honor, I need a 7-day stay. 7-day stay that don't release Mustafa yet. I understand you gave him a bond, but I need a 7-day stay. And Mustafa stayed in that county jail for 7 days, only for Prosecutor Sarasami to come back and say, Your Honor, Mustafa threatened a correctional officer. At the time, we didn't have the discovery, we didn't have the body cams, we didn't have the jail videos that showed that this prosecutor lied about Mustafa threatening a correctional officer. Today, we have a flash drive with all of Mustafa's sealed material, protected material, the body cam, the jail videos, the discovery that showed that Prosecutor Sarasami lied about Mustafa, and Judge Carol Weimer is an impartial judge that despite the evidence, he rules for the prosecutor to protect this police department, to protect this prosecutor. He's ruling regardless of the evidence. And we have evidence to show that. Now, at the time, Judge Carol Weimer was comfortable to rule despite of the evidence because the material was sealed. But today, that sealed material, we have it, we're leaking it on the internet, and we get to have a conversation about if Judge Carol Weimer is impartial. And we're going to show the community that Judge Carol Weimer is impartial. He has a reputation where he's impartial. Judge Carol Weimer has a reputation where other individuals in the community have came forward about him. Despite the evidence, regardless of the evidence, he rules on relationships. A relationship that he has with the police department, a relationship that he has with the prosecutor, a relationship that he has with the Commonwealth attorney. And now that we have this flash drive, we get to have this conversation. This is circuit court. Everything that the judge does is on the record. And now that we have these body cams, we get to show this community that Judge Carol Weimer has been protecting this prosecutor who lies to protect the police department, to protect the police officer that falsified every police report in Mustafa Al-Jazari case.
Al-Jazari hired a new defense attorney, Blake Weiner, who tells me he specializes in police misconduct cases.
The police report talks about my client saying, I know what happened. He didn't say that. The police report also says that they were arguing in the car. He didn't say that. These are not only these material facts and material misrepresentations, they're the foundation.
This is Mustafa's lawyer at the time. And he's on the news. He's telling the community that Mustafa never said, I was arguing inside the vehicle. I was angry at my girlfriend inside the vehicle. This investigator falsified the police report. And we have an audio of the conversation to prove it. We have a letter from the chief of police admitting that they ran an investigation, the Internal Affairs ran an investigation, and found out that this investigator falsified the police report.
Of the government's case.
Weiner says without the incriminating statement, there's no proof Al-Jazari crashed the car intentionally. Police will not disclose specifically what led to the finding that the investigating officer violated department policy. In a statement, a spokesman writes, the community can be rest assured the very minor administrative errors that were uncovered and addressed will not have a negative impact on the double murder charges the accused is facing in the deaths of a mother and her 5-year-old daughter.
Lieutenant Jonathan Perot, with Prince William County. This is the spokesperson for the police department. He says the community can be rest assured the very minor administrative error that were uncovered and addressed will not. He said addressed, uncovered and addressed. What did you do to address that this investigator falsified the police report? Did you provide a supplement report? And for those that don't know what a supplement report is, when a police officer police report does not reflect what was actually said, there has to be a supplement report. In Mustafa Al-Jazari case, investigator Drum put in the police report that Mustafa told him, I was angry at my girlfriend, I was arguing with my girlfriend. Mustafa never said that. We have the audio of the conversation. Now, when you say was uncovered and addressed, did you provide a supplement report? No, because we have the discovery. And when we go through the discovery, that's sealed off, but we have it. We don't see a supplement report in it. As a matter of fact, like we said earlier, the prosecutor, as late as the last bond hearing, gets up in court, and she told Judge Carol Weimer, Your Honor, Mustafa told investigator Robert Drum that he was arguing inside the vehicle, that he was angry at his girlfriend. She's repeating the statements where investigator Robert Drum falsified on the police report. So when you say Lieutenant Jonathan Perot, we ask for accountability, sir. You're the spokesperson for the police department. This is the community that is watching what you're issuing out to the community. At the time, the community does not have the sealed material, so we can't verify what you're actually saying, what you're actually doing. All we can do is take your word for it. But today, sir, we have a flash drive with the sealed, protected material, and we're leaking it on the internet. So we get to have a conversation about accountability. Lieutenant Jonathan Perot, when you say uncovered and addressed, what have you done to hold this investigator accountable? You have not held him accountable. He still roams the street. The next time you call 911, you're going to get, more than likely, Detective Robert Drum. He still works for the police department. A supplemental report has not been provided to correct the police report. So when you say uncovered and addressed, sir, you're lying to the community. He said uncovered and addressed will not have a negative impact on the double murder charges the accused is facing and the death of a mother and 5-year-old daughter. This is a tragic vehicle accident. Mustafa lost his family inside that vehicle. Mustafa lost his girlfriend, Dorothy, and her 5-year-old daughter, Empress. It's a tragic vehicle accident. We're talking about Mustafa's family. We're talking about a tragic vehicle accident. We're talking about a dash camera that's sealed off by the county. That on dash camera, for the past 2 years, this dash camera is sealed. If you look up Mustafa Al-Jazari, you'll see a 4-second clip of the dash camera. Pieced together, you have a deformed version that the Commonwealth Attorney released out to the community. They didn't release the whole dash camera. They're sealing off the dash camera. They're terrified that the community is going to watch this dash camera. Now, unfortunately for this prosecutor, and unfortunately for Lieutenant Jonathan Perot, we have this dash camera. We're taking a deep dive into this dash camera, and it shows that it's a vehicle accident, that there was no argument inside the vehicle. Lieutenant Jonathan Perot, we ask for accountability, and we ask that you address the Mustafa Al-Jazari case in light of the discovery being released on the internet.
And the Commonwealth's attorney also telling me the policy violation will not impact the case, writing, the letter has no impact on our case or the charges we brought. We were aware of the mistake that the officer made in his report and had already provided that information to the defense.
Commonwealth Amy Ashworth with Prince William County. The same Commonwealth attorney that went to Judge Carol Weimer and sealed off the body cams, the dash camera, the discovery, is here telling the community the letter has no impact, the letter that we got from Internal Affairs from Chief of Police Peter Newsham, that this investigator falsified Mustafa's police report. She says the letter has no impact on our case or the charges that we've brought. We were aware of the mistake that the officer made in his report. So you're telling this community that you were aware that this investigator falsified the police report? You're aware that this investigator wrote in his police report that Mustafa told him, I was arguing inside the vehicle. I was angry at my girlfriend inside the vehicle. You're aware? You're aware that the warrant has been falsified? Based on those statements, they issued out a warrant and they arrested Mustafa. So you're telling me that we didn't have to provide you with the audio. We didn't have to have Internal Affairs investigate this investigator. You were already aware. We were aware of the mistake that the officer made in his report and had already provided that information to the defense. No, you didn't. You didn't provide anything to the defense. In the discovery, there is no supplement report to correct the statements. As a matter of fact, as late as the last bond hearing, your prosecutor, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, gets up in court, in circuit court, the court of record, and she says, Your Honor, Mustafa told the investigator that I was arguing inside the vehicle. She's repeating the statements that are falsified. Mustafa was angry inside the vehicle. That's what he told investigator Robert Drum. Now, what is your prosecutor telling Judge Carol Weimer? If you're aware and you're saying that you fixed it, which we know you didn't because we have the discovery, and there is no supplement report, this investigator still works for the police department. What is your prosecutor doing lying to Judge Carol Weimer? The question is, was Judge Carol Weimer so comfortable that this material is sealed that he just pretend whatever this prosecutor says is going to go? Yes. We could, at the time, there is no way we can verify what is happening behind closed doors. We can't say that this judge is impartial. And even if we said it, we don't have the discovery. We don't have the body cams. So we can't prove that this judge is impartial and they're lying about Mustafa. At the time, Judge Carol Weimer was comfortable to rule in the favor of this prosecutor, even though she's lying. Well, unfortunately for Judge Carol Weimer, a police officer out of Prince William County that does not agree with what they're doing behind closed doors, put the protected material, the body cam, the discovery, on a flash drive and supplied it to Mustafa Al-Jazari brother. Gave it to me. Now I'm leaking it out all over the internet. Now this is a testament of what we've been saying all along. That it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out. And the longer this goes on, there's a lot of police officers of Prince William County that wear that badge, swear an oath. They're from this community. They are protecting this community. There are bad apples. But those bad apples in the police department is not a reflection of every police officer that works at Prince William County. And this is a testament that we have a police officer out of Prince William County supply us with the sealed material. Now, when we talk about the Mustafa Al-Jazari case and police misconduct, we're talking about specific police officers that engaged in falsifying police report, engaged in police misconduct, and we have a Chief of Police, Peter Newsham, who has a history out of D.C., who's bringing this police misconduct, this corruption, and where we don't have accountability under this Chief of Police. Where is the accountability? Under Chief of Police Peter Newsham, there is no accountability. And we're having a conversation. We're asking Chief of Police Peter Newsham to have a conversation. Just the other day, he was on a podcast. Early this week, he was on a podcast, and on the police department Facebook. On the police department Facebook, Chief of Police Peter Newsham goes to Gainesville High School and sits on a podcast. This is Chief of Police Peter Newsham, and he sits on a podcast. Not one thing did he address that is happening in this community. And instead he's talking about some BS about how to become a police officer, the career into becoming a police officer. I mean, let's read what he's talking about. Not once did he address the discovery material being leaked out on the internet that show police misconduct, that show every police report is falsified in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Not once did he talk about the other files that we have that were leaking out on the internet, like Tatiana David, 18-year-old Juan Campos, and other files that we're talking about. They write on their Prince William County Police Department post under this picture, the Advanced Criminal Justice Program students of Gainesville High School sat down with Prince William County PD Chief Newsham today and recorded a podcast. We're on a podcast. Chief of Police Peter Newsham, we invite you to have a conversation. Now, can you have a conversation, or are you terrified at what your police department has done in the past 2 years in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case and the other cases that we're talking about, to have an actual conversation? Recorded a podcast on a variety of topics. Now, what are the topics? That included his career path, challenges in law enforcement, and department regulations. Chief Newsham appreciated the opportunity to share time and information with the students. How beautiful. How beautiful that you don't address anything that's going on in the community. Well, Chief of Police Peter Newsham, unfortunately for you, the files that we have, that we've been supplied with, has been given to the Department of Justice. have been given to the FBI. And now the FBI is investigating your police department. When the local government failed us, we ask for the federal government to do their job. And it's only a matter of time before this individual is held accountable. And if you're not going to be accountable, the federal government is going to hold you accountable.
Court documents filed by prosecutors say there is other evidence supporting the charges, including dash cam video from the vehicle. But there's no...
The prosecutor says there is other evidence that they're building a case against Mustafa, including the dash camera. Are we talking about the same dash camera that the prosecutor is terrified that this community is going to see? Are we talking about the same dash camera that this prosecutor cut and clipped 4 seconds, a deformed version of a dash camera, gave it to NBC4, and is airing that out to the community, and is terrified that the community is going to watch the whole dash camera? I mean, for a prosecutor that says Mustafa is guilty, why are you terrified that we're going to watch this dash camera? Well, unfortunately for you, ma'am, we have the dash camera, and we're watching that you're lying about Mustafa Al-Jazari, that this is a tragic vehicle accident, and there is no argument inside the vehicle. Now, the prosecutor says there is other evidence that she has. Let's take a deep dive into what this prosecutor is doing. In light of the body cams that are released, what is this prosecutor talking about? What is this prosecutor hiding? I mean, she sealed this material for a reason. There are forensic interviews that when we watch these forensic interviews, Dorothy has a 9-year-old child, a 10-year-old child, a 14-year-old child, and a 16-year-old child. When the tragic vehicle accident happened, the police department, kids that just lost their mother, told those kids that Mustafa ran away from the vehicle. They painted Mustafa as a monster. Ran away from the vehicle, left your 5-year-old baby sister in the vehicle, and if it wasn't for Mustafa running away, your 5-year-old baby sister would have still been alive today. And then they take these kids, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 14, a 16, into a forensic interview after painting Mustafa as a monster. Kids that now are blaming Mustafa. You have a police officer in a uniform come up to kids and give those kids someone to blame, and then put them in a forensic interview. Now the government is trying to use these kids' statements against Mustafa. Well, unfortunately for the prosecutor, we have the forensic interview, and in the forensic interview, one of the kids tell us that the police officers told him this, painted Mustafa as a monster. Prince William County Police Department, what are you doing painting Mustafa as a monster to kids that just lost their mother? When it's on dash camera that this is a vehicle accident. You're weaponizing the kids against Mustafa. You're using kids. You're traumatizing kids. I mean, this is child abuse. Kids are being used to prosecute Mustafa. Now, unfortunately for the prosecutor, we have the forensic interview. Now, in the discovery and the police report, you don't see the forensic interview in the forensic interview say what Dorothy's kid is talking about in the forensic interview. They left that part out of the forensic interview. And the written part, they left it out. You only see it in the forensic video. In the forensic video that's sealed off by Judge Carol Weimer, that's sealed off by the prosecutor and the police department, you see and you find out that the kids have been coached by the police department, are weaponized by the police department before they were put in a forensic interview. They gave these kids someone to blame. Kids that just lost their mother in a tragic vehicle accident. Let's watch that forensic interview. And unfortunately for the prosecutor, not only that we have the forensic interview, the apartment had a Google Nest that shows how much those kids loved Mustafa, how much Mustafa loved those kids, how much Mustafa loved his girlfriend, how much his girlfriend loved Mustafa. It's a beautiful relationship. The prosecutor is terrified that there is a Google Nest. And Judge Carol Weimer is pretending that the Google Nest inside the apartment does not exist. Now, this is, unfortunately for Judge Carol Weimer and the prosecutor, this is circuit court, and it's the court of record. Mustafa's lawyer told Judge Carol Weimer that I have hours and hours and days of Google Nest video inside the apartment that contradict what the prosecutor is saying about Mustafa. That Mustafa hates the kids, that Mustafa is abusive. No, we have the Google Nest inside the apartment that shows the kids loved Mustafa. Only when the police department got involved and painted Mustafa as a monster, you've weaponized those kids against Mustafa. I mean, you have kids that just lost their mother, and you're telling them that her boyfriend did this on purpose, ran away from the vehicle, left your 5-year-old baby sister in the car, and if it wasn't for Mustafa, your 5-year-old sister would have still been alive today. When in fact, Mustafa is being helicoptered to the hospital. Mustafa was in a coma, and the police department is the one that released Mustafa from the hospital when he woke up. What are you doing lying to the kids? Let's watch that forensic interview.
We've always said never sell a house in the winter. That's not true.
It was on the game. I went.
This is
my mom
Jaden
was watching
Dorothy's
with,
14-year-old
my
child
sister.
in a forensic interview
My brother wanted
after the police department told Jaden that Mustafa did it on purpose, ran away from the vehicle, left your 5-year-old baby sister in the car, and if it wasn't for Mustafa running away, your 5-year-old sister would have still been alive today. We could have gotten her to the hospital. When in fact, they're the paramedic are the one who failed to airlift Mustafa's girlfriend and 5-year-old Empress. There's neglect. They failed to airlift the family. They lied to Jaden. And you'll hear Jaden in this interview beat himself up, telling the forensic lady with the police department, I always trusted Mustafa. And he's beating himself up for trusting Mustafa. This gives you insight that this kid always trusted Mustafa. He says, my mom always told me to trust Mustafa. This gives you insight that Dorothy, Mustafa's girlfriend, told the kids to trust Mustafa. She loved Mustafa. And then he goes on and says, investigator told me that Mustafa ran away, left my 5-year-old baby sister, and if it wasn't for Mustafa running away, my 5-year-old sister would have still been alive today. Let's listen to the interview.
and it was on the game. I went into my mom's room, was watching YouTube with my baby sister. My brother wanted me to leave so I can show you something. I agreed to stay, so I stayed, and I stayed until I left with Daniel. And because they were leaving soon to go get errands, rather I should have stayed because I was going to be the last day I ever saw her again. I came back from Daniel's house to my brother and my younger brother, Farron, and she's still here. Apparently they didn't go with them, which was a good thing. Anyway, I was watching them, waiting for them to get back until I got the news. I saw, we called him Moses, but anyway, he came from the hospital in a hospital gown and blood on his forehead, and which was weird.
He came from the hospital, so when Mustafa was released, we have a video. My other brother, Muhammad, when Mustafa was released from the hospital by the police, by the hospital, Mustafa's first priority is to make sure the kids are okay. So we went to the apartment, and Mustafa made sure the kids are okay. And we have a whole entire video. My other brother, Mohammed, recorded the whole interaction. So we'll play that video.
He told me my mom they got into a T-bone accident. Rather, no, that was on purpose. He made that T-bone accident. He ran out into mid-traffic and he put himself in an accident on purpose. I don't know why, I don't know his reasons, but at the time I was so upset, I didn't realize the truth. I was crying, I was upset, I was really upset. My mom was just dying. We cleaned the whole house for her too, cheer her up. And my family baby sister was in the hospital. She was in the car seat at the accident. She sadly did not make it. In fact, I saw him lie to my face, and his family lied to my face. His mom lied to my face, and they were trying to protect him. He left before the cops could get there. When they got into the car crash, the detective said he jumped out and ran, left my babysitter.
The detective said he ran out, he jumped and ran out. And if it wasn't for, listen.
And if he just get there. When they got into the car crash, the detective said he jumped out and ran, left my babysitter there. And if he just thought to bring her to the hospital, maybe she would have made it, but she didn't because he decided to be a coward, and now she's gone. And now I have so many brothers. She was the sweetest. She would never even hurt a fly. She was innocent too. 25. And my mom's gone. Now she's gone. There's a little one man that I trusted. Because my mom kept on telling me he's a good guy. I kept on saying, okay. Alright, I told her I had my suspicions and I should have went with my gut. I knew something wasn't right. And I still believed her, and that's why they're gone today.
Detective told me Mustafa ran out, left my 5-year-old baby sister, and if it wasn't for him, my 5-year-old baby sister would have still been alive today. We're gonna play the body cams where it shows Mustafa was helicoptered. It shows Mustafa was in the hospital, just woke up out of a coma. Mustafa released by the hospital, by the police. So what are they doing telling a 14-year-old kid that just lost his mom that Mustafa ran away, left your 5-year-old baby sister, and if it wasn't for him running away, your 5-year-old baby sister would have still been alive today? They're weaponizing the kids against Mustafa. When Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, let's go back to what she said earlier. She says that we have other evidence that we're building our case. Is this what you're building your case on against Mustafa? Kids that are weaponized by the police department? So you paint Mustafa as a monster. You put the kids in a forensic interview. You turn the kids that just lost their mother against Mustafa, and this is what you're building your case on? Oh, wait a minute. You're sealing the body cam, the forensic interview, the discovery, because you don't want anybody to find out that you're building your whole entire case on this? Oh, you're avoiding to watch the Googleness inside the apartment. That before your police officer made contact with the kids, those kids loved Mustafa. Let's watch one of the Googleness videos that show that the kids loved and trust Mustafa. I mean, when you watch this, you hear Jaden beating himself up, and he says, I always trusted Mustafa. Mom always told me to trust Mustafa. This gives you insight into the relationship that Jaden, 14-year-old Jaden, has with Mustafa. This gives you insight into the relationship that mom has with Mustafa. She's telling the kids to always trust Mustafa. Jaden always trusted Mustafa. But we don't have to. We have the Googleness inside the apartment that shows how much Jaden and the kids loved Mustafa. The prosecutor is terrified that we're having this conversation. She sealed everything off. When the vehicle accident happened, this is a Googleness out of the apartment. So we're going to play them in order. This is a Google Nest inside the apartment that when the vehicle accident happened, the police went to the address on the driver license and knocked on the door. And the kids that were in the apartment, there was Jaden, 14-year-old Jaden, 10-year-old Imagine, and 9-year-old Pharaoh. They were in the apartment. And the police go to the apartment, knock on the door. One of the kids, goes up to the Google Nest. The Google Nest is a system inside the apartment that whenever Mustafa and Dorothy leave the apartment, they can communicate with the kids through the Google Nest. If anybody has a Google Nest, they know what I'm talking about. You can communicate through text, through audio, through video. Now the kids go up to the Google Nest, and the first thing they say, Moses, the police are here. They don't know there was a vehicle accident. They just know the police are here. Okay? Now, this gives you insight into the relationship that the kids have with Mustafa. They didn't say, Mom, the police are here. They went to the first person they trusted, Moses, Mustafa, the police are here. Let's watch that. And then they said, Mom. Listen. That's Jaden in the background. See the kid with the blue shirt? That's Jaden. That's the forensic.
The cops are here.
Moses, the cops are here.
The cops are here. The cops are here.
And that's April 5th, 2023
Moses, the cops are here.
at 8:54 p.m. Moses,
The cops are here.
the cops are here. They go up to the person that they trusted. They trusted Mustafa more than their own mother. That's the kind of relationship the kids had with Mustafa. And when you watch the Google Nest, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Mom, the cops are here.
And then he says, Mom.
Alice is outside.
Keep in mind, when this was happening, Mustafa is in a coma. He's inside the hospital. He was helicoptered to the hospital. He's in and out of consciousness. He wakes up, and he's in the hospital. They run whenever there's a vehicle accident, they run their DUI. They check for the toxicology. Mustafa's blood, no alcohol. They're doing the DUI investigation, blah, blah, blah. They're checking if Mustafa and Dorothy were under the influence. Mustafa's blood toxicology report and Dorothy, no alcohol and no drugs. So when that was finished, they released Mustafa. The hospital, the police department released Mustafa. Now let's watch the other videos. This is April 4 at 2 p.m. You see Mustafa. The kids in the back. Dorothy is in the background.
He just wakes up and all he's doing is just like bullshitting and crying.
All right, there we go.
I'm not making money. I gotta go make some money. Like, can't stop like crying. Yeah.
What's wrong?
Huh?
You just telling someone, can you stop?
It's like, imagine just wakes up and all he's doing is just like bullshitting and crying. He doesn't want to stay home.
I don't
Huh?
care.
Huh?
And he doesn't want
You're not bringing the whole fucking
Why?
family to drive around all day. That's not what the fuck.
That's not YouTube. That's TikTok.
to like shit.
It's okay. I don't want it on TikTok. Yeah, I just have it on.
Javen, walk the dog. I'm not making money. I gotta go make some money. Like,
So this video gives you insight into, the prosecutor claims that Mustafa is a reckless driver, that the kids are terrified to get in the vehicle with him, that his girlfriend is terrified that they're going to get in the vehicle with him. Well, that's disturbing, because we have the dash camera, and the dash camera shows that Mustafa is not a reckless driver. Mustafa was driving speed limit. Mustafa is driving normal. And the dash camera showed that this is a tragic vehicle accident. Now, this Google Nest, it shows that, and we're going to watch it again. It shows that Mustafa is getting ready to go to work. And Mustafa has a small business where he sells physical therapy equipment. He sells heat warmers and those small physical therapy equipment devices that are FDA approved. He has a small business, a medical equipment company. And he goes out to different locations and he makes a deal with different establishments, and he sells and promote his business in front of those establishments. And one of the kids, he wants to tag along with Mustafa, and is crying because Mustafa just wants to go by himself, and he is saying, I'm not making money, let me go and make money. And you see the kid is crying because he's begging to go with Mustafa. This contradicts the narrative that the prosecutor is telling this community. The prosecutor is telling this community that the kids are terrified. Well, that's not what we see here. Let's watch that one more time.
Okay, stop. Like, right? I'm not making money. I gotta go make some money. Like, okay, stop. Like, right? Yeah.
What's wrong?
Huh?
You just telling someone, can you stop?
It's like, imagine just wakes up and all he's doing is just like bullshitting and crying. He doesn't want to stay home.
Well, I don't care.
Yeah, and he doesn't want
You're not bringing the whole fucking family to drive around all day. That's not what the fuck people do.
like shit. Javen, walk the dog.
So this contradicts the narrative of the prosecutor. Now, what I find disturbing, and what's terrifying for this prosecutor, is originally this prosecutor charged with Mustafa with involuntary manslaughter. That's what she charged Mustafa with. Now that there is an audio that the investigator falsified the police report, Internal Affairs, the chief of police, admit that this investigator falsified Mustafa's statement on the police report. They were attempting to charge Mustafa with manslaughter. Now, for someone to be charged with manslaughter, there has to be negligence. You're speeding, you're driving reckless, you're under the influence. You somehow caused the accident. You're arguing inside the vehicle, and then the accident happened. Now, none of these fits the criteria. So what did they do? Investigator Robert Drum, on his police report, Mustafa is not driving reckless. Mustafa is not speeding. Mustafa is not intoxicated. He's not under drugs or alcohol. His blood work and Dorothy's blood is not under the alcohol or drugs. So what did they do? They falsified Mustafa's statement on the police report. And they said, Mustafa told me I was arguing inside the vehicle. There you go. We got him for manslaughter. Well, my other brother, Muhammad, has a recording of the conversation that was supplied to Internal Affairs that now the chief of police is admitting that Mustafa never said that. Within 5 days of Internal Affairs admitting that the police report is falsified, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, as soon as Internal Affairs notifies her that there was an audio, she goes and drops the manslaughter charges and charges Mustafa with M1. She charged him with M2. She charged him with M. That this is premeditated and he did it intentionally. And now, keep in mind, this is a year into Mustafa being incarcerated and is being charged with involuntary manslaughter. No, this is 6 months into Mustafa being charged with involuntary, Once Internal Affairs found out that the police report is falsified, and Mustafa never said that, the prosecutor drops the involuntary manslaughter, and she charges him with premeditated M2. That's interesting. And by the way, at that point, everything was sealed. We didn't have access to the discovery, the forensic interview. And what does she say in court? Her new story is that Mustafa planned this out. That Mustafa intentionally and specifically premeditated this. And she says he premeditated it by he wanted his girlfriend Dorothy on that day to go with him in that vehicle. That he wanted 5-year-old Empress to be in that vehicle that day. And he specifically told the boys to stay home because he hated his girlfriend, he hated the 5-year-old baby, and he wanted them in the vehicle only to crash the vehicle on purpose. Now, what do? They seal off everything, and they go with that story. Now, unfortunately, and what's disturbing in the whole entire case, that in the forensic interview, one of Dorothy's children says, by the way, this is not in the police report. If you read the forensic interview, you won't find this in the forensic interview. The written part, you won't find it. You'll only see it in the forensic video that's sealed off by this prosecutor. One of the kids say, Mom is the one that wanted Mustafa to go on that day. Mom is the one that wanted 5-year-old Empress to go that day. Mom is the one that told the boys to stay home. And Mustafa never wanted to go. It was Mom's idea. That's what the kid is saying in the forensic interview. Now, this contradicts the narrative that this is premeditated, that Mustafa is the one that wanted to go. Mustafa is the one that wanted Dorothy to go into in his vehicle that day. Mustafa is the one that wanted 5-year-old Empress to go into that vehicle that day. Mustafa is the one that told the boys. The kid is telling you it was Mom. So how could you charge Mustafa with premeditated if Mom is the one that wanted to go? This contradicts the narrative of the prosecutor. But what did the prosecutor do? She sealed off the forensic interview and is terrified that this is coming out to the community. Let's watch that forensic interview. And what's disturbing and terrifying for this prosecutor, we have the Google Nest video inside the apartment that show Mom is the one that's forcing Mustafa to go that day. Mustafa wakes up late. He didn't want to go. And he's doing Dorothy a favor by taking her to her mom's anniversary. It's her mom's anniversary. She's going to the gravesite. And it's Dorothy that wanted to go. And Mom is the one that's telling Mustafa, we have to go. And Mustafa never really wanted to go anywhere. Mom is the one that's telling 5-year-old Empress to go. Mom is the one that's telling the boys. That's what the Google Nest videos inside the apartment show. What does this prosecutor do? She looks the other way. She's terrified that there's a Google Nest. Judge Carol Weimer, these videos, when Mustafa's lawyer took Mustafa's case, told Judge Carol Weimer on the record in circuit court, Your Honor, I have Google Nest videos that contradict the narrative of the prosecutor, the narrative of the government. And Judge Carol Weimer pretends that there is no Google Nest. Well, unfortunately for this judge, unfortunately for this prosecutor, everything is getting leaked out on the internet, and we're having a conversation. And this is going to be introduced on the record. Let's watch that forensic interview.
This morning on Take It Off Today, an incredible transformation on TikTok.
Let's see.
This is Pharaoh. This is Pharaoh. This is one of Dorothy's kids in a forensic interview. This forensic interview is sealed by the county. Whatever Pharaoh says, it's not on the written portion of the discovery. So they falsified that forensic interview. We're talking about Mustafa's statement falsified on the police report. Every statement in the every police report in Mustafa Al-Jazari case is falsified. It's not reflective of what's actually on camera.
Let's see. I want to find out a little bit more about who you live with. Okay. So tell me about who you live with. Who all lives, who all lives with you?
Well, I live with my brother, my other brother, and I live with my mom and my little sister and my mom's boyfriend.
So you said your brother, your other brother, your mom.
Missy, we're gonna pause this. We're gonna pause this really quick. Missy, I just want to say hello to everybody, where everybody's joining the conversation. Missy, Colleen, Char, Casey, Becky, Farah, everybody that's here. Thank you for joining the conversation. We're going through the forensic interviews. We're going through the body cams, and we're talking about Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, and what is she telling the community? And we're taking a deep dive into what is this prosecutor doing behind closed doors, and what is she building her case? What evidence is she building her case on? Thank you for being part of the conversation. If you guys have any question, just feel free to interrupt me, and you guys are part of this conversation.
Thank you. Hi, Amar.
Missy, hello, Colleen, Char, thank you for being here.
Didn't you say that the flowers, or didn't they say that they found the flowers in the trunk?
Oh, the flowers is in the vehicle.
That there was no flowers?
The investigator, when he was talking to Mustafa, pretended that there are no flowers, that he didn't know what Mustafa was talking about. He pretended. We'll take a deep dive into that conversation. Unfortunately for that investigator, there is a recording of the conversation. Internal Affairs ran an investigation, and they sent us a letter admitting that this investigator lied on the police report. So, and it's disturbing that when you watch the dash camera, Dorothy is holding the flowers. They're going to their mom's anniversary.
She put them in her lap.
Yes, ma'am. Let's watch the forensic interview of Pharaoh. Dorothy's 9-year-old child, tells the forensic lady with the police department that it was Mom's idea to go to the cemetery that day. It was Mom that was telling Moses, take me to the cemetery. It was Mom that told 5-year-old Empress to go with her. It was Mom that told all the boys to stay home. Now, this contradicts the narrative of the police department. The prosecutor is claiming that this is premeditated, that Mustafa is the one that is forcing everybody to be in his car on that day only to crash the vehicle on purpose. Now, the written report, you don't see this on the written report of the forensic interview. They falsified that portion in the forensic interview. And they sealed off the body cam, hoping that this will never be introduced. I mean, Judge Carol Weimer is ruling that this forensic interview is not on their records. Now, he seals it off from the community. He seals it off from the family, Mustafa's family. He seals it off from Mustafa. And the jury doesn't get to see what Pharaoh is talking about. I mean, if it wasn't for this police officer that supplied me with this material, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Because the written report, you won't see in the written report what Pharaoh is talking about. Pharaoh contradicts the narrative of the prosecutor that this is premeditated. How could it be premeditated? Premeditated, specifically, the prosecutor is saying Mustafa is premeditated because it was his idea. He wanted Dorothy. He's forcing Dorothy. He's the one that told Dorothy. He's the one that told Empress. He's the one that told the boys to stay home. Well, this contradicts the narrative of the prosecutor. How could it be premeditated if Dorothy is the one that wanted to go to the cemetery? If Dorothy is the one that's telling 5-year-old Empress to go to the cemetery. Dorothy is the one that told the boys to stay home. The Google Nest inside the apartment showed Dorothy asking Empress to go with her. Dorothy asking Mustafa to take her to the cemetery. So how could it be premeditated? Their narrative is falling apart, and their lies is catching up to them. Let's watch this forensic interview.
Your little sister, is that what you said?
little sister, and your mom's boyfriend?
Yeah, his name's Moses.
Boyfriend. And his name's Moses. Moses. Okay. Let's see. So we have you. What's your brother's name?
Imagine.
Imagine. Okay. And your other brother's name?
Jaden.
Jalen. And your mom's name?
People call her a whole bunch of names, but the one I like the most is her nickname that her mom and her brothers used to call her Joey.
Joey?
Yeah, that's her nickname.
Okay, Joey. Okay, and your little sister?
Empress.
Empress. Okay, and you said your mom's boyfriend is named Moses?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay, and these are the people that you live with, is that right?
Yeah, well, I don't live with my mom or sister anymore.
Okay, so what happened there?
Well, they died in a car crash.
They died in a car crash?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When was the last time that you saw your mom and your little sister?
2 days ago, she was planning on going to her grandma's and then driving around for doing other stuff. She didn't know, but yeah, I decided to stay home because I didn't want to go.
Okay. So 2 days ago, let's talk about what happened 2 days ago, okay? So think back about 2 days ago, the last time you saw them, okay? Tell me everything you remember about that day. Everything from the very beginning until the last thing that you remember about that day. What happened?
So I woke up and I was planning on doing with Moses to one of the new games that he said he would done me that day, but mom wanted, but he was too tired to, and also mom wanted him to come with, but he didn't want to.
So he woke up. Mustafa was tired. Didn't want to go anywhere. And mom wanted Mustafa to take her.
So they got into a fight for a little while. Then Moses went, and I gave him my $12 because we have this whole big plan to have enough money to debt the dam. Then a couple minutes later, a couple hours later, cops showed up around our house. So we tried to tell mom and them, but they didn't answer. And then the cops eventually went away, and they still didn't answer. But then Moses came back with blood on him in a hospital outfit, and told us to get our shoes on to go to our neighbor's house, which is also our mom's best friend's house.
The ancient Egyptians understood that they could use sound to reduce their weight.
Okay. So you gave me a lot of information there, okay? So I want to ask you some questions about that day, okay? So you said you woke up. Do you remember what time you woke up?
No, I don't really look at the time I woke up.
Was it in the morning? Was it in the afternoon? Or something?
I just know that it was pretty bright.
It was pretty bright? Okay. Yeah. So when you woke up, it was bright outside. And you said that you were going to go with Moses to get a game, a video game.
For my Switch.
For your Switch.
The plan is to... Pharaoh was talking about a game that Mustafa was going to buy him. Mustafa woke up tired. Mom wants Mustafa to take her to the cemetery. That's not what the prosecutor is talking about. That this is premeditated, that Mustafa planned this out, that it was his idea. That's not what Pharaoh's talking about.
And you said that you gave him $12 for the video game, is that right?
This is how much I had.
Because that's how much you had.
He gave Mustafa $12, and Mustafa was going to pay for the rest.
I was gonna trade it with the $12, and then he was gonna pay the extra 20 so we could get the game.
Okay. So when you woke up, you said that you were going to go to go with Moses to get the game.
Yeah, but since he decided to go with Mom and said that we would get the game tomorrow, I just handed him the $12 and told him why he's out there to get the game.
Okay. So tell me what he was going to do with your mom instead. He said that instead of going to get the game, he was going to do something with your mom.
They were gonna go visit my mom's grave so that because it was her birthday, it was my mom's birthday, so. And then they were gonna go somewhere else they didn't know where and just do something. And me and Imagine and Jam decided to stay home while her and Empress went with him to go to Grandma's grave.
And how did you know that it was your? How did you know that they were going to your grandma's grave?
Because they said.
Who said?
My mom.
Your mom said? And whose idea was it to go to your grandma's grave?
My mom's.
Your mom's.
Because it was her birthday.
Because it was your.
Whose idea to go to the gravesite? Pharaoh says, it was my mom's idea. Now, this contradicts the narrative of the prosecutor. And the prosecutor is screaming in court that this is premeditated.
Come on, get her.
And what does she do? She seals off the forensic interview and the forensic report. You'll never hear Pharaoh talk about it was my mom's idea. So they seal off the forensic interview video. They falsify the police report. And they make up their own narrative, hoping that this will never come to the day of light. That the community is not going to see this interview, that we're not going to have this conversation. And it's been 2 years. Let's watch the Google Nest inside the apartment that shows that Mustafa loves the kids love Mustafa, and his girlfriend loves him. It's a beautiful relationship. And the prosecutor is terrified.
Continue that.
Yes, ma'am.
Continue that video.
You want to continue?
Something at the end
Okay.
I want to prove.
Okay. All right. Let's continue watching this video.
Grandma's birthday, is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And you said that you and Imagine and Javon decided you would stay, is that right?
Yeah.
And who decided that?
Well, we decided my mom was okay with it.
Okay.
We decided.
And what was the very next?
The boys, the prosecutors claimed that Mustafa wanted the boys to stay home. He wanted 5-year-old Empress to go with him. Mom. Pharaoh's telling you, it was Mom's idea, and we decided to stay, and Mom is the one that told Empress to go with her.
This is what my house looks like. And I haven't cleaned in 3 months. That's because I have someone come and do it for me twice a month through HomeAglow. Let's talk about how much that adds.
Wait, what is it? Oh, that's nice. Let me see. Our beautiful sister-in-law just gave us an idea. Fatma is giving everybody an idea. And so we're live on YouTube, we're live on TikTok, and if anybody has an iPhone, they can do this. They can open the TikTok and at the same time open YouTube. And you can have them on the same page. And it looks like I'm advertising for TikTok and YouTube. It looks like I'm selling you an iPhone. Now, I want everybody to watch the YouTube because TikTok, you can't show videos on it. It censors. There's something. TikTok is a weak platform. It censors the videos. So what we have is the videos are being played on YouTube. So everybody that's on TikTok, I want them to go on YouTube because we're showing the forensic interviews and the body cam on YouTube. But you can open them, both of them together, and you can have them on the same page. This is really interesting. Really interesting. Okay. That's beautiful. Fatima, thank you. All right, so back to the forensic interview. And for those that are joining us on TikTok, we are live on YouTube under the channel's name is Not Another Boring Podcast. If you type that in YouTube, and if I can ask Char and everybody else to mute because there's an echo in the background, I think when you have YouTube on. Char, I got you. I'm going to take care of it. Shelly, hello. Thank you for being part of this conversation. If anybody is joining us on TikTok, we are live on YouTube, and our channel is Not Another Boring Podcast. If you put that on YouTube, you'll see what we're talking about. We're playing the videos, the body cams, the dash camera, the forensic interview, the discovery material on YouTube. So if you want to see what we're talking about, tune in to that channel. Let's dive back into the forensic interview, and let's watch the whole thing.
Well, a couple hours later, the cop showed up around our house. We tried to call our mom, and she didn't answer. So we texted her and told her but then eventually they went away, and we tried to call her one more time, but she didn't answer. So
Shelly, hello. Thank you for being here. Yes, ma'am.
But then a couple hours later, or a couple minutes later, Moses with his family showed up and said to put our shoes on and to go to our mom's friend's house. And
so what Pharaoh is talking about is when Mustafa was helicoptered to the hospital. Mustafa was in the hospital. He was in and out of consciousness. He woke up out of a coma. Mustafa was in the hospital for just about 4 hours. And in that 4 hours, we'll play the videos of the body cams in the hospital. They ran a toxicology report on Mustafa. They ran his blood, and I believe this is part of what they're doing with the DUI. They're checking if he's under the influence. Now, Mustafa's blood is no alcohol, no drugs. So what they did, they released Mustafa. The hospital, the police department released Mustafa. Now, Mustafa's first priority was to make sure the kids are okay. Pharaoh, imagine a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old was still at the apartment. So Mustafa's priority was to make sure the kids are okay. When Mustafa was rolled out of the hospital, they rolled him out in a wheelchair. He barely got up. He can barely walk. He just came out of a major concussion. He just woke up out of a coma. And the paramedic had induced Mustafa with 50 mcg of fentanyl. Now, Mustafa's head is cut open. He's got cuts everywhere. He can barely walk. And all he's asking for is the kids. He wants to make sure the kids are okay. Now, we go to the apartment. We take Mustafa to the apartment. And my other brother, Muhammad, records the whole interaction. He puts a cell phone in his pocket, and he records the whole thing. The prosecutor is terrified that this recording exists because they wanted to put out their own narrative. And we'll take a deep dive into what I'm talking about, but this is what Pharaoh is talking about. He says Mustafa came back with a hospital gown, he has a cut on his head, and okay, let's keep listening.
Friend is named Nini.
Is named Nini?
Yeah.
Okay. So earlier, and I need you to correct me if I get something wrong, okay? You said something about Moses and your mom got into a fight. Is that correct?
Yeah, because he didn't want to go, and then so he got really mad at her.
Okay, tell me more.
The prosecutor is telling us that Mustafa was arguing with Dorothy, that there was a heated argument inside the vehicle. We watched the dash camera. There is no argument inside the vehicle. And now we watch the forensic interview, and they're talking about that Mustafa was arguing that there is a bad relationship. Mustafa woke up tired. He had plans with Pharaoh. They were going to go buy a game for a Switch. Pharaoh saved up $12. He was going to supplement the game. I think the game cost like $20, $25. Mustafa had plans. And now Dorothy is asking him to go and take her to the cemetery. So Mustafa changes plans and he takes her to the cemetery. You're telling me this is the argument that you're building a whole entire case? This is a couple. They're in a fucking relationship. This is what you're building your whole case over? Why are you terrified to watch the Google Nest? Because when you watch the Google Nest, you see that Mustafa is cooking for that Dorothy. It's cooking for Dorothy. It's cooking for the kids. When you watch the Google Nest on that day, all you see Mustafa is cooking for Dorothy, cooking for the kids, and making sure that Dorothy eats her. She has a special diet. What is it? Vegan? I think she's vegan. And there's a special food and a special way of cooking her vegan food. You have her boyfriend cooking her vegan food. You have her boyfriend, and it's on Google Nest. If it wasn't on video, and it's just Mustafa's word, you're taking Mustafa's word, or you're taking my word. There's a Google Nest inside the apartment that shows it's a beautiful relationship. And there was no argument inside the vehicle. There is no argument in the apartment. They're just going about their day, their normal day, and it's a beautiful relationship between Mustafa and his girlfriend. His girlfriend is the kids. Mustafa and the kids, they loved each other. And there's a Google Nest that the prosecutor is terrified. And it's been 2 years that she's avoiding. Well, unfortunately for this prosecutor, it's on the internet. It's going to be on the record, and Judge Weimer has no option but to acknowledge that there is a Google Nest. He was hoping that everything was going to stay concealed behind closed doors, and that whatever the prosecutor says is going to go. Well, sir, unfortunately for you, the community is watching the Google Nest. The community is watching the forensic interview, and we're taking a deep dive into the falsified police report. Why isn't none of what Pharaoh says is on the forensic report? I mean, that's terrifying. The prosecutor is building a case on Mustafa on falsified police report. And what is she going to say at the end? I'll tell you what she's going to say. And this was her way out of the whole entire thing. And it's sad. It's sad when you realize this is the outcome. She's going to tell this community, I'm bringing up charges based on police reports. We don't have the resources. We don't have the resources for prosecutors to watch body cams. It's not our fault that the police reports are falsified. The police department dropped the ball. For one reason or another, the police reports are falsified. Does not match the body cams. We don't have the resources as prosecutors to watch the body cams, to watch the forensic interview. We're bringing up charges based on reports. I mean, the police report, the forensic interview, doesn't reflect what Pharaoh's talking about. Doesn't reflect any of the kids, what they're talking about. The kids are talking about that it was mom's idea. Mustafa never wanted to go. It was mom's idea. So how could this whole entire thing be premeditated? Let's continue watching the forensic interview.
I'm getting really mad.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the part I wanted to ask you about. He said the whole time that they weren't fighting. He said Mustafa was upset. He had to go. He didn't
Exactly.
want to go,
Exactly.
but Dorothy wanted him
Exactly.
to go.
Exactly.
That wasn't a fight. It was a disagreement, not a fight.
That's a big difference. That's a big difference.
Never said it.
Yep.
A fight until the interviewer asked, did they have a fight?
Exactly. You're leading. It's a lead. You're leading a question. Exactly. You're.
Exactly.
Now, keep in mind, with this forensic interview, there are detectives standing outside the room. Jaden is talking about the police department is telling kids that are 9, 10, and 14 that Mustafa did this on purpose. Mustafa ran away from the vehicle, left your 5-year-old baby sister, and if it wasn't for him running away, we could have saved your 5-year-old baby sister. They're painting a monster. The person that they trusted, who Jaden, in his own words, say he's beating himself up for trusting Mustafa. Mom always telling him to trust that she always told him to trust Mustafa. He's beating himself up. This gives you insight into the relationship that he had with Mustafa. That it was a beautiful relationship. He always trusted Mustafa. Mom always told him to trust Mustafa. This gives you insight into the relationship that they always trusted Mustafa. Now you have a badge and a uniform comes up to a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 14-year-old, and tells them the person that you always trusted was a monster. He ran away, left your 5-year-old baby sister in the car, and we could have saved your 5-year-old baby sister if it wasn't for that monster. When in fact Mustafa is in a coma, he's being helicoptered in the hospital. They lied. And we're going to watch those body cams. Now, this is the environment surrounding this 9-year-old child. But the truth always comes out. The kid says, Pharaoh says, there was mom that wanted to go. It was mom that wanted Empress to go. It was mom that wanted us to stay. Mustafa had other plans. What were they yelling about? Oh yeah, Mustafa didn't want to go. Really? That's not what you're telling us. That's not what you're telling us. All right, let's continue.
Well, they broke into a really bad fight because he got really mad that she was trying to force him to go. He didn't want to. So they were fighting for a couple hours before he just decided to go.
What did you hear?
Well, I didn't really hear a lot because I was told to go in my room and go in my room with my brothers and sister, and while they were fighting, I was just watching Mario Odyssey movie on my PS5. But then my little sister got upset because she wanted to watch the TV. She told my mom, and my mom said to let her. So then I unplugged the PS5 since the Roku or the Fire Stick was still plugged in, but the Fire Stick wasn't working. So I tried to plug it into the projector, which was in my mom's room, but there was no volume. So a couple minutes later, I decided to just go put it back in the other room. And since my sister was on the phone, I decided to just hook up my PS5 to the TV. And then a couple minutes or hours later, they stopped fighting and they were going.
How did you know that they were fighting if you didn't hear what they were saying?
Because I heard them yelling still, because the movie wasn't too loud, but also because they were fighting in the living room.
And what did you hear them say?
Well, I don't remember fully because I was mostly in my room and not listening because I was just watching my movie.
Okay, and thank you for telling me that you don't remember. That's what I need you to tell me, okay? And what does it look like when they fight?
Well, they mostly just yell at each other.
Okay.
One good way that you can help build urgency in the sale is asking what are called consequences.
And then what was the next thing that happened?
Well, then they left to go.
Okay. Did they say something to you when they left?
I don't fully remember. Maybe they said that they were leaving. Maybe they said bye. I don't remember. fully.
Okay, and that's okay if you don't remember. And then you said that you tried to call your mom because the cops came. And was it still light outside when the cops came? Or?
No, it was pretty dark.
It was pretty dark. When did the cops come?
It wasn't fully night. Near dark time, but it wasn't fully nighttime. It was like there was like stars in the sky, but it was like blue black.
Oh, okay. So when your mom and Moses left, where were you when they left the house?
Well, when they were leaving, I gave them the $12 before, and once they stepped out of the house while I was in the living room too, I decided to just go back and watch my movie.
Okay. And where was everybody else when they left?
Oh, they were also in the room, or maybe some of them were in the living room and then went back to the room. I just remember once they left, everybody was in the room except for Empress, who was going too.
Okay. So where was, you said everybody else, so where was Imagine when?
He was in the room too.
Okay. And Javon?
Jim was just laying on my couch bed.
Okay. And you said Empress went with them? Is that right? Okay. So why?
Everything that Pharaoh says contradicts the narrative of the police department, the prosecutor. The prosecutor says this is premeditated. That's not what the kids are talking about. The kids are talking about Mustafa didn't want to go, wake up late. He had plans with Pharaoh. He was going to go buy him a game. And Dorothy wanted him to go, take her to her mom's anniversary. Dorothy is the one that wanted 5-year-old Empress to go to the cemetery. Dorothy is the one that told the boys to stay. What were they yelling about? Oh, yeah, he didn't want to go. So you're telling me...
There was no yelling.
You're telling me you're building a whole entire case on Mustafa being this horrible human monster, and you're sealing off all the evidence? You're sealing off the forensic interview. She said this is premeditated. That was premeditated, that Mustafa planned this out. Oh, wait a minute. They falsified the police report. They seal off the forensic interview. And the minute that you're bringing it out to the community, they want to flip the narrative, and they want to say that I'm a monster for releasing the forensic interviews. Well, look at what you've done as a police department under the watch of Chief of Police Peter Newsham. You went to a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 14, a 16, painted the only person that they trusted, Mustafa, lied to those kids, told them, when you lied to those kids, you told them that Mustafa is a monster. He left your 5-year-old baby sister in the car, and if it wasn't for him running away, your 5-year-old sister would have still been alive today. A badge and a uniform, going up to a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 14, a 16. You traumatized those kids. Those kids needed Mustafa. Instead, they just lost their mother. Is that not child abuse? Is it not child abuse to traumatize those kids? To lie to them about the only person they trusted? Put them in a forensic interview? Put a camera to record them while you're interrogating them after you just got done lying to them? Is this not child abuse? Is it not child abuse that you're going to bring them into the court system after you lie to them? You weaponizing those kids. Is it not child abuse? I mean, imagine if this was your kids being weaponized against you when you just got out of a coma in a tragic vehicle accident, when you have a dash camera inside your car that's sealed off by the county, and your neighbor is looking at you. and they're not allowed to see any of your evidence? Your own kids that you took. Mustafa's not the father. Mustafa took on taking care of those kids because he loved Dorothy. He met Dorothy 3 months ago, took on taking care of those kids, and you're weaponizing those kids against him. I mean, is it not child abuse? And to turn the narrative, I had a interesting conversation with Julie Carey, where Julie Carey's like, it's disgusting. She tells my brother Muhammad, it's disgusting that your brother is releasing the forensic interview. And my brother tells her, it's disgusting what this police department have done. Is it not child abuse to lie to kids in their most vulnerable state? Immediately, she just shut the fuck up, and she had nothing to say. Immediately. I mean, what are you going to say to that conversation? They think that this community is asleep, that this community is not going to put 1 and 2 together, that this community is not going to realize what this police department has been doing for the past 2 years. I mean, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth releases a statement. She says specifically, let's go over that statement.
Tonight, there are new.
After evidence come forward that this police report is falsified, she says this.
My biggest concern when I was thinking of getting Botox Cosmetic was
losing my expression.
This is her statement out to the community.
Court documents filed by prosecutor negative impact on the double murder charges the accused is the car intentionally. Rest assured, the very minor administrative errors that were uncovered in address writing, the letter has no impact on our case or the charges we brought. We were aware of the mistake that the officer made in his report and had already provided that information to.
That's interesting. So the letter has no impact on the case or the charges that we brought. We were aware of the mistake that the officer made in his report. So you already knew. We didn't have to take the recording out to Internal Affairs. We didn't have to have Internal Affairs investigate. You already knew that your officer was a piece of shit that falsified the police report. You already knew. And you're telling the community, you already knew. And had already, that the officer made in his report and has already provided that information to the defense. Your officer still works for the police department. Investigator Robert Drum still works for the police department. A supplemental report is not provided to correct Mustafa's statements on that police report. As late as the bond hearing, and Shelley was right there. She heard the prosecutor stand in court and tell Judge Carol Weimer, Your Honor, Mustafa told Investigator Robert Drum that I was arguing inside the vehicle, that I was angry inside the vehicle, and his lawyer at the time stood up and he said, Your Honor, those are falsified statements by the investigator. We have a letter from the police department by the chief of police admitting that this investigator falsified the police report. We have a recording that Mustafa never said that. So when Commonwealth Amy Ashworth issues out a statement to the community, the letter has no impact on our case or the charges that we brought. We were aware of the mistake that the officer made in his report and already provided that information to the defense. Why is your prosecutor lying to Judge Carol Weimer? Now we know that there are no corrective action taken. And you say the letter has no impact on our case or the charges that we brought. Wait a minute, because you have forensic interview, videos that are sealed, forensic interview report that is falsified. Nowhere in the forensic report does it say what Jaden is talking about, what Pharaoh is talking about, what Imagine is talking about. Nowhere in the report. Those forensic interviews are falsified. Only when you watch the video forensic interview that's sealed off by Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, you see that they contradict the narrative of the prosecutor. They were hoping that this information will never come out to the community. Well, unfortunately for you, ma'am, there's a lot of police officers in our community that are protecting this community and are tired from what goes on behind closed doors. There's a lot of police officers that wear that badge and uniform and are disgusted by what this Commonwealth attorney is doing, what certain police officers are doing, and supplied me with the body cam and the discovery on this flash drive. Now, unfortunately for her, We have a giant voice. And we're leaking this material out to the community. And we get to talk about what this Commonwealth attorney is doing. It's been 2 years. Mustafa has been in solitary confinement. Mustafa has been beaten in our county jail. On her watch, this Commonwealth attorney is not just a Commonwealth attorney. She sits on a jail board. Anything that happens inside our county jail, you have jail board members that are tasked with protecting inmates. Now, the members of this jail board, one of them is Commonwealth Amy Ashworth. And then you have Chief of Police Peter Newsham. You have Sheriff Glenn Hill. You have Raul Torres with the Human Rights Commission. And you have other individuals that are tasked with protecting the inmates inside our county jail. On their watch, Mustafa was beaten. Mustafa was abused inside our county jail and denied medical. Now, when looking into, from an outside looking into this county, when you look at jail board members like Chief of Police, like the Sheriff, like the Commonwealth Attorney, automatically you assume that those inmates that are pre-trial detainee, they haven't been convicted. These are pre-trial detainee. Anybody can end up in that jail. Anybody. And you're awaiting your trial to be found guilty or not guilty. I mean, the threshold for probable cause is so thin that anybody can be in that county jail. And to sit there and be abused while you're waiting for your day in court. As a matter of fact, we have 7 unalived inmates in our county jail within the past 5 years. My brother Mustafa was beaten, abused, denied medical. And for 2 years, they tell us nothing happened. If it wasn't for the video that I have, no one would believe me. You call the DOJ themselves. They send you FBI agents. Special Agent Lindsay Coulter, Special Agent Samantha Adams, Special Agent Supervisor Huckle. They told us that your brother, there is no evidence that your brother was beaten. And we're like, what about the camera inside the jail? He said, there is no camera inside the jail. There is no CCTV inside the jail. And they show us still images from the day after. They show us still images of the day after, but not the day of the incident. And the minute we start asking details, they say this meeting is over. Inside the FBI building. Now, at the time, we're telling them, there is no way there is no CCTV video inside the jail. Why are you not showing us that jail video? Instead, you're showing us a still image of the day afterward. They say this is, they end the meeting. They said this is not a cross-examination. And they end the meeting. And they kicked us out of the building. Now, today I have the jail videos. And we went back to the Department of Justice. And a new file, they opened a new file in light of the body cams that are coming out. Mustafa has a federal lawsuit and a lawsuit in federal court. Mustafa is moving forward as a pro se. He's writing his own motion from inside the jail. His lawsuit, unfortunately for Elaine Jarvis, unfortunately for Judge Hilton, unfortunately for the jail lawyer, Rachel Adams, Mustafa filed a motion from inside the court to continue this case. And now we're moving into discovery. We have the videos that we have, and we're going to be moving into discovery where more videos are going to be coming out, whether they like it or not. Let's watch that video. Mustafa getting carried unconscious from inside the jail. We have a video. 6 correctional officer take out an unconscious Mustafa.
This is Elaine Jarvis.
I'm gonna be here as a witness no matter what because it's messed up what they did.
Wow, that's crazy.
None of us will have.
I'm talking to my mom on the
6 correctional officer enter Mustafa's cell.
He was going into his room.
6
Push him up.
giant correctional officer enter Mustafa's cell.
Behind his back.
slammed him down onto the ground and kicking him. Not resist.
Take out an unconscious Mustafa,
Question things like
handcuffed behind his back, while one of them hits him on the head. Mustafa's naked, handcuffed behind his back. One of the correctional officer hits him on the head and then kicks him. And they carry an unconscious, handcuffed Mustafa behind his back from one cell into another cell, and then they beat him and they abuse him in the other cell. And then they denied him medical.
like at least treat somebody.
When we went to the FBI a year ago, Special Agent Lindsay Coulter, Special Agent Samantha Adam, Special Agent Supervisor Huckle,
He said that
they told us
him
this video did not exist. Well, today we have this video, and we're having a conversation. And we went back to the Department of Justice and told them that the FBI that you sent us are engaged in a cover-up. They're covering up for the county jail. There's a new investigation by the DOJ. There's FBI out of DC. They are investigating the county, and the best is yet to come. And unfortunately for this prosecutor, we get to have a conversation. What's wrong with having a conversation? I mean, I just want to talk. Can we talk about the details? They're avoiding. I mean, if you notice, not one word come out of the prosecutor, the Commonwealth attorney, the chief of police about material leaked out to the community. I mean, isn't this protected material? I mean, isn't this material in evidence.com? I mean, evidence.com is the police department, right? Anytime you have body cams, anytime you have sealed material, they secure them in something called evidence.com by the police department. You want to tell me that I'm running around with a police officer supplying me with material out of evidence.com, I'm putting them on the internet, and the chief of police sits on a podcast at Gainesville High School and doesn't address that his material is being leaked all over the internet? I mean,
Some fake information.
what is he talking about? Shelley, he's talking about his career path as a police officer, or some random that has nothing to do with what's happening. Sir, your evidence.com door is wide open. You have material, sensitive material being leaked out to the internet, and you don't address it? You want to sit on a podcast and talk about nothing? You have a black girl rolled around like a pretzel. They put 50 bullets into that girl, reposition her body somewhere else, a cover-up. I mean, where is the accountability for Tatiana David? Tatiana David's videos is all over the internet, leaked out. The same girl that they said they were investigating, the same girl that they said we found her outside the vehicle. I mean, the cover-up is worse than the crime itself. I mean, it's one thing to have they made the wrong call by pursuing the vehicle. According to state police, you can pursue a vehicle, but you're supposed to outweigh the risk. You're supposed to outweigh that risk. They disregarded Tatiana David's life, and they pursued the vehicle. Someone made the wrong call. They took it further, and they put 50 bullets in an abductee vehicle. Someone made the wrong call. I mean, at one point, you're going to say that our chief of police is going to take accountability for his police officers and hold them accountable. Instead, you have the chief of police and the Commonwealth attorney go to a judge and seal off the body cams. I mean, and now he sits on a podcast 2 years later, not address anything, pretend like nothing happened. I mean, maybe if I'm just going to pretend nothing happened, maybe it's just going to go away. Okay? Maybe if I'm going to put my head in the sand like a bird and pretend this is not happening, Maybe it's just going to blow over. Well, I hate to tell you, sir, that it's been 2 years. Mustafa has been in solitary confinement. Mustafa has been beaten, been abused, been denied medical, and his brother is on the outside. I got trained as a paralegal. I mean, do you really think I'm going to go away? I got trained as a paralegal. Now I know how to write my own motions. Now I know how to represent myself in court. Their strategy is to drain this family out of money. This is their strategy. We had a lawyer that had a relationship with the investigator that falsified the police report, took the money, and we found out that he's working with the county. Now, the family is running out of funds, and they're thinking that we got them. We got them where they're not going to be able to do anything. We're going to give them a public defender. The public defender office is created by the Commonwealth Attorney. If anybody knows anything about our public defender office, it's created by Commonwealth Amy Ashworth. She helped create the public defender office. As a matter of fact, every single public defender is terrified of Commonwealth Amy Ashworth. They thought that we're going to have a public defender, that we're going to not have money. Well, look at what's happening. My brother Muhammad, he knows how to write motions. He's been in court filing his own lawsuits against the county, against Judge Carol Weimer. I got trained as a paralegal. Now I know how to write my own motions. I know how to stand in court, represent myself. Mustafa was already a paralegal. He worked at a paralegal office. Now he's writing his own motions from inside the jail. This is an ongoing fight, and they were not expecting a family to keep going. I mean, your own police officers, how does it feel, Chief of Police Peter Newsham? How does it feel, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, to have your own supply me with this material? How does it feel? Material that you're terrified that we're going to have a conversation about. I mean, look at how far we've come. We're in the process of moving forward, and we have the DOJ, we have the FBI investigating in light of body cams that are out. The community is listening, the community is watching, and they're terrified. I'll tell you, they're terrified. They're building a case against Mustafa on falsified police reports. Now, we're going to continue to have a conversation. We're going to pick up where we stopped at. The Google Nest. Okay? I want to thank everybody that's been here with us. I want to thank everybody that's watching and is understanding what we're going through. What we're going through is a lot. Having money for my brother's lawyer is not easy. And it's an uphill battle because the police department is engaged in trolling the conversation. And I want to thank everybody that's here, that's watching. I want to thank the community for understanding the detail of what goes on behind closed doors. It's been 2 years. Mustafa needs money for his lawyer. Right now they have a lawyer that Judge Carol Weimer brought into this situation. And Judge Carol Weimer says that's his best friend. Now, I don't want to jump to conclusion before I find out what is going on here. I mean, Judge Carol Weimer has been impartial on Mustafa Al-Jazari case for the past 2 years. And now he's in hot waters because this is circuit court. This is circuit court, the court of record. Anything he says, anything he rules on is on the record. Now, before, he didn't care. But now that I have the body cams and the discovery, the community is watching what Judge Carol Weimer is ruling on. Now, he's in hot waters. Now, in light of everything, he brought in a lawyer that's not getting paid by anybody. His best friend for over 20 years to be Mustafa's lawyer. Now, for the past 2 years, the prosecutor is blocking evidence to be on the record. For a prosecutor that screams Mustafa is guilty, she's terrified that the evidence is going to be on the record. There is Officer Zymus with digital forensic, admit that this dash camera, in fact, has audio. So what are they talking about? They need a lip reader. If the dash camera has audio, Mustafa is entitled by law to have an independent expert to go in and download the audio off the SD card. The prosecutor is terrified. I mean, without audio, we see that there is no argument inside the vehicle, that this is a tragic vehicle accident. Now, imagine if the audio comes out. The prosecutor is terrified. The prosecutor is terrified that Mustafa is entitled by law to have an independent expert inspect the vehicle. Now, the police mechanic admit on a police body cam that this vehicle did not have brakes and there's transmission failure. The transmission drive shaft disconnected from the engine. This is not mechanical failure. This is vehicle failure. Vehicle failure. Okay. So where is the written report? Where is the independent expert? Why is the effort blocked by the prosecutor? She's terrified. There's brake failure, there's mechanical failure, there is vehicle failure, transmission failure. She's terrified that this is going to be on the record. The prosecutor is blocking every effort, along with Judge Carol Weimer, that the Google Nest is going to be on the record. It's been 2 years. Why isn't the Google Nest on the record? Judge Carol Weimer in circuit court, Blake Weiner told him on the record, Your Honor, I have hours and hours and hours that contradict the prosecutor narrative. I have Google Nest video that contradict the narrative that Mustafa, the narrative for the prosecutor. The Google Nest contradict. It shows that Mustafa loves the kids, loves his girlfriend, and the kids and his girlfriend love him. It's a beautiful relationship. So the judge knows it. Why is the Google Nest not on the record? For a prosecutor that's terrified, for a prosecutor that screams that Mustafa is guilty, she's terrified that the evidence is going to be on the record. Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? I mean, she's saying that Mustafa is guilty. It should be Mustafa is terrified that his audio is going to come out. It should be Mustafa terrified that the Google Nest is going to be terrified that the evidence isn't. It's working backwards, and this community is not stupid. We're all watching this together. I want to thank specifically Missy. I want to thank Farah for donating to Mustafa's legal fund. It's a lot. We're under a lot of pressure. Sometimes I don't even know how to go into the details of everything that goes on with Mustafa's legal fund. But all I can tell you is Mustafa needs money for his legal fund. We have to hire and pay for a lawyer. Yes, he has a lawyer by the judge. But we don't want to be in a situation where the county is bringing you a lawyer. The same judge that's been impartial is now hiring your own lawyer. We have to be able to hire a lawyer to make sure that Mustafa gets a fair trial. That Mustafa is not, that the system, the trial is not rigged. I mean, Judge Carol Weimer, 100% is impartial. The prosecutor has been lying for 2 years. And now you have a lawyer. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun and say, this is what's happening. For all I know, they are waking up to a reality that the police department and the prosecutor are lying. I mean, we're kind of forcing them to wake up because we have them by the balls. I mean, I call I called a good friend of mine that used to be a Prince William County police officer, and he tells me, "You have them by the balls. Don't ever let go." You know, the sad reality is they have no balls. I'm just grabbing something. I don't know what I'm grabbing, but I'm grabbing something, and it sounds like it hurts. And I can promise you, I'm not letting go. We're going to continue to have a conversation. And we ask for accountability. And we're asking everybody to be part of this conversation. Everybody to be part of this conversation. This prosecutor is building a case on witnesses. If you want mom to put in a comment so I can see her comment, and then I'll just make her a mod. We're gonna continue. Yeah. Hey, Fatima, I don't see the comment. Mama, if you want to put the comments, I can make you a mod. Oh. Huh?
She's on there. She said a March. I'm here.
She did. Okay, let's see.
No.
It's like one way to disrupt my thoughts and tell me, like in the middle of my conversation, can you put me a mod? Free? Is it free Mustafa Al Jazari?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Add as a moderator. Managing moderators. All right, there we go. It's like nothing worse than getting bullied by your own mother to make her a mod. I mean, what are you gonna say to that? Yes, mom. Yes, ma'am.
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, what am I gonna say?
Well, you know, there's haters over there on YouTube.
It's so funny. Have you seen that movie, The Minions?
No.
I don't know if I'm getting the name right, but there's a movie. I have an image in the back of my head that all my trolls are just like jumping around, like, I want to say something. I want to say something, and I'm like, get out of here. Wait, let me see if I can pull it up. Oh man, this is funny. This is really funny.
These people have made you the point of their whole life. You are the only thing they think about. It's disgusting.
You know how disturbing that is? I mean, that is. You know, I'll tell you. They're terrified that we're having a conversation. This is what I was. This is the image that's in the back of my head is this. These are my trolls.
Tres tickets for San Francisco. San Francisco? Okay. How will you be paying? No problema. Oh, great. Caloperas.
These are my trolls. That's what's happening on YouTube right now. They all want to say something. They all want to say something, and I'm just like, I'm not even reading it. That's the funny part. Like, you know, I'm so into my conversation, I don't even know what they're saying on YouTube, to the point where your mother is coming out of nowhere, screaming at you to make her a mod. I'm like, okay. what I wanted to go back into is the Google Nest. Before we end this live is going over an hour. I wanted to keep it under an hour, but that's okay. We're just gonna run through the Google Nest, and when we come back at 9, we'll take a deep dive into the videos from the hospital. Where we get to ask the question, is Judge Carol Weimer impartial? Because Judge Carol Weimer ruled that Mustafa was not interrogated in the hospital. Now, this is before the body cams came out, before we get to see that, in fact, Mustafa was interrogated while the paramedic have induced Mustafa with 50 mcg of F. Now, 50 mcg of F can knock down a horse. You're out of it for 9 hours. Now, the paramedic, Mustafa's toxicology report is no alcohol and no drugs. Now, that's what his toxicology reports show. Dorothy, no alcohol, no drugs. The paramedic injected Mustafa with 50 mcg of F. Now, when you talk about that, they say their defense is that Mustafa was in a lot of pain, and that's why we gave him 50 mcg of F. Now, the question is, it's been 2 years, and not one single person have talked about the fact that Mustafa was induced by the paramedic with 50 mcg of F. You're out of it for 9 hours. The only way we found out is after this material in the discovery that the paramedic, it shows that they injected him with 50 mcg of F. Now, the question is, if you've injected him with 50 mcg of F because of the pain, that's what they like to have a defense. They say, when you say that, that's what they tell you. Why was Mustafa interrogated in the hospital knowing that he's on 50 mcg of F? I mean, this doesn't happen. You only hear about stories like that in countries like Russia, China, third world countries, that they will induce you with a drug and then solicit an answer from you. I mean, we have body cams where the nurse is identifying herself as law enforcement. We have a police officer guarding the door. We have the investigator threaten mom and the rest of the family with an arrest if they ask about Mustafa. And in the meantime, Mustafa is getting interrogated by this investigator while he's under 50 mcg of F. And the whole entire time, they're asking him what happened. Now, mind you, Mustafa just came out of a concussion, a coma, a concussion, call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. We have record that says Mustafa lost consciousness for 30 minutes. Mustafa is in and out of consciousness. He wakes up to him being induced with 50 mcg of F, with a nurse on top of his head identifying herself as law enforcement. An investigator, Chad Mason, that's asking him what happened. Mustafa, you can see him say, I don't know. I was driving, all of a sudden I see light. I don't know. He doesn't know. And all you see is Mustafa asking for his girlfriend and 5-year-old Empress. That's all he asked for. And he's crying, he's in panic, he wants to know if they're okay. And the whole entire time for 4 hours, they tell him, your girlfriend, her 5-year-old baby, 5-year-old Empress is okay. We're taking care of them. They're going to be okay. And then 4 hours later, an investigator comes in with his camera, with his body cam, and he's rolling that camera. He has that camera on, and then drops a major news on Mustafa. Now, mind you, this investigator, this nurse, they know that Mustafa was induced with 50 mcg of F. You're out of it. 9 hours, you're going to be out of it. He's rolling, and he tells Mustafa, your family has been unalived for the past 4 hours. And you see Mustafa A broken Mustafa, a Mustafa that's crying for his family, a Mustafa that's confused because you were just telling him your family is okay. Now, what are they hoping out of this transaction? Well, the investigator Chad Mason and this nurse that identified herself as law enforcement is hoping that Mustafa is under 50 mcg of F, and that Mustafa is so confused and so out of it that he's not going to have a reaction when they told him your family has been gone for 9 hours, so they can record this interaction and they give it to the prosecutor and say, your prosecutor Mustafa did not give a fuck about his family. Look at that body cam. And when instead you see a broken Mustafa, a Mustafa that's crying for his family, a Mustafa that's broken about his girlfriend and 5-year-old Empress, they seal off their body cam. Seal it. They go to a judge, seal off their body cam from the community, from Mustafa, from Mustafa's family, from the jury itself. Judge Carol Weimer ordered that this video, that the jury will never see that video. And what did they write in the police report? Chad Mason says Mustafa did not care or had a reaction when he was told that his family was deceased. So you falsify that police report, you hide the the body cam.
We saw it. It breaks my heart.
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna play one of the body cams, and
Take a while for your body to cope with their dramatic information like that.
it's illegal.
I know when they called me to tell me that my fiance had a massive heart attack,
Yes,
I was
ma'am.
in shock, confused, didn't know what to do. I mean, anybody has different reactions to different things. They don't take any of that in consideration at all for Muhammad. And the other thing is that what are those kids thinking nowadays? You know, those kids are probably traumatized. They don't know what to do. They don't know who to talk to because it's eating them up. I mean, my kids were abused by their father, and to this day, they're 19 and 20. They still realize all that. So those poor children that were traumatized by those officers, don't think that they don't feel like they did something wrong. They don't know who to trust anymore.
I mean, this is the definition of child abuse. This police department, what they've engaged in is child abuse, and they're terrified that we get to have this conversation and attempt to hold them accountable. I mean, the question is, we talk about Mustafa and what they've done to Mustafa. I mean, if anybody puts themselves in Mustafa's shoes and realize what they've done, like if they've done this to your kids, you're going to ask for accountability. I mean, what are we asking for? We're asking for a chief of police Chief of Police Peter Newsham, in light of everything that's happening. I mean, we've been screaming for the past 2 years. And every time we talk about what they're doing to Mustafa, they dismiss the family, that we don't have the evidence, and this is just the family, just without evidence, just talking about their loved one. Well, today it's a different conversation, because now when we're screaming, we have the body cam. I mean, this is the body cam for the investigator. I mean, this is Chad Mason. This is Chad Mason. This is the nurse that identified herself as law enforcement. This is Mustafa being rolled in. Okay, just came out of a coma, concussion, call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. There's a document in the hospital that says Mustafa lost consciousness for 30 minutes. A major concussion. And then he wakes up, he doesn't know where he's at, and he's asking about his family.
Hi, Mustafa. Hey, good. I'm not scared, mates. I talked to you real quick back of the ambulance. You probably don't remember it. I don't remember anything. So, I'm one of the ones that's investigating the crash you're involved in this evening, okay? So, I just have a few questions for you real quick, all right? Do you remember what happened? Do you remember anything that happened?
Yeah. I don't remember. I mean, I don't know what happened, to be honest with you.
What's the last thing you remember? What do you remember doing this morning? How about that?
This morning?
Yeah.
I can't help you. Yeah. I'm gonna fix the cuff because it's not on.
Cooking for one doesn't make sense. If you want to eat better without wasting hours cleaning and prep.
There we go. Okay. Let's kind of click. This is the nurse. She takes over, and she identified herself as law enforcement, and she partake in this interrogation.
What were you doing this morning? How about that?
This morning?
Yeah.
I can't help you. Yeah. I'm gonna fix the cuff because it's not on.
Now I'm gonna pause this really quick. When you watch this nurse, and when we look up who this nurse is, this nurse ran for office. Now, taking a step back and looking at when we contact the governor, the senator, the delegate, and we're complaining about police misconduct, that Dorothy and Empress were not helicoptered, that Mustafa was interrogated inside the hospital, and there's a nurse that partook, identified herself as law enforcement, and engaged in interrogating Mustafa. Now, you'll be surprised to find out that this nurse ran for office. Are we surprised that the delegates, the senators, the governor, they're not really addressing this situation? I mean, who is this nurse and who is she connected to that she can't be held accountable? Why is that nurse above the law? Oh, because of her connection? Because she ran for office at one point? I mean, what is it? Her brother, her father, one of her family members are well connected that she is above the law. Well, before she was above the law, but in light of the body cams that we have now, it's one thing to say that there was a nurse that interrogated my brother and partook in his and identified herself as law enforcement. It's another thing for the DOJ and the FBI that we have the body cam that are sealed by the county. I mean, before these body cams were sealed, there's no way that you can prove that this is happening.
I'm just gonna be relaxed on our mind.
All right. How about this? Who's with you in the car? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Who's with?
Judge Carol Weimer, before these body cams came out, ruled out that this is not an interrogation. You want to tell me that you have an investigator on your head asking you questions. You have a nurse that identified herself as law enforcement engaging in an interrogation. You have a police officer in the other body cam. When you watch, you see a police officer standing there guarding the door. And right before this interrogation took place, Officer Chad Mason, the one that's interrogating Mustafa, is threatening my mom and the rest of the family with an arrest if you ask about Mustafa one more time. And you want to fucking tell me this is not an interrogation? Well, unfortunately for Judge Carol Weimer, not in a million years, he expected this body cam to come out to the community, where we get to have a conversation about why did Judge Carol Weimer rule that this is not an interrogation? Why is Judge Carol Weimer, removing this video from the jury? This will not be on the record. Judge Carol Weimer ruled out that this video is not going to be seen by the jury. Oh, wait a minute. You don't want to show the jury that Mustafa is a human being, that he cared about his family, that he's crying about his family. Instead, you want to have the prosecutor introduce the falsified police report that Chad Mason wrote, that when Mustafa was told after 4 hours after that his family was deceased, he didn't care. He didn't have any emotion. He didn't care. That's what you want to introduce to the jury? We're watching, and at the end of the day, the community is watching Judge Carol Weimer and is finding out, is asking a question. Is Judge Carol Weimer impartial in this case? And this judge is in hot waters because we have the body cams. Let's continue watching this.
In the car.
girlfriend and her daughter.
Your girlfriend and her daughter?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do y'all live together?
Yes, sir.
How long y'all been together?
I'm sorry. No worries, it's okay.
Like, I'm trying to remember honestly, but I'm just.
Okay.
I'm in a daze right now.
I got you, man. I got you. Does her family? We gotta get in touch with her family. Does her family live close?
Her family?
Yeah.
Why?
Cause she was hurt in the crash, so we gotta get in touch with her family.
What's wrong with her?
Well, we're gonna talk about that here in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. But we need to get in touch with her family. Do you know where they live at? Where they stay at?
We were going to her mother's funeral. Like it was her mother's birthday today. And so that's what I remember.
Okay, where's her mother live?
Her mom's dead.
Oh, her mom's dead. It's her birthday, and she's going to birth. Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Is her dad alive still?
Yeah, he's alive, but he's in a different state. But I can't even think right now.
Okay, she got any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, she has a brother and a sister.
Are they close? Like living close by?
Close by?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never met him or anything like that.
Okay. All right. You remember if you took any drugs or anything today?
No, sir.
You take any medicines?
I do.
What do you take?
It's like ADHD medication. I've been taking it since I was 16.
Okay.
On your other hand. There we go.
So we're kind of confused how the crash happened because according to witnesses, you were going straight and all of a sudden you just made like a hard left turn. You turned from another car.
What happened exactly?
Okay.
You know, my car was really messed up at the shop. But
How long ago was that?
They just got my tie rods installed.
Okay. When was that?
Just not too long ago. I just got the car from a transmission shop because
I'm gonna pause right here. When I got back from overseas, I did. I worked in Iraq. My whole family, my dad works in Iraq, and I did work in Iraq, civilian work. Now, when that chapter was done, came here, and I started a company for the Marines at Quantico. It's a small company dedicated for the Marines on base. Anytime you have a Marine that gets stuck, I have giant trucks that have tools, that have a generator, a compressor, and I built this company from one truck to where I built it up where I have 5 trucks. I hired Marines that are military police Marines on their day off. They would work in this company. I trained them, and then we would deploy them in different places on base. And anytime you have a Marine that gets stuck, we sent him a Marine to take care of a Marine. My watch commanders on base loved the idea because I was taking care of the Marines, and they gave me a lot of access into that made this possible. Now, one of the Marines had a vehicle and wanted me to fix that vehicle for him. Now, that vehicle was his daughter's vehicle, and the repair is more expensive than the vehicle itself. That vehicle needed an engine. At the time, it needed an engine among other work. So he just gave me that vehicle. He said, "I'm just gonna go ahead and buy my daughter a vehicle. I'm gonna give that vehicle to you." And being a mechanic, I fix cars. I buy cars, fix them, sell them, being part of being a mechanic. So my idea was to fix it and sell it. And I took it to a shop. I had them put in a used engine. And later, that vehicle turned out that it needed a transmission. And it needed the whole front suspension rebuilt. That shop put in an engine, a used engine, a transmission. The front end was rebuilt. The brakes was done on this vehicle, brand new brakes. And I was going to sell this vehicle. I mean, that's how I made money. I fix cars, I sell cars. At the time, my brother needed a vehicle, and my beautiful, beautiful mother came up to me, and God help you if you're a mechanic and you have a giant family. You will be used and abused to fix your family members' vehicles for free. That they're gonna take all your vehicle, huh?
You gotta be good for something.
Exactly. So mom told me to give it to your brother. Your brother needs a car. So I gave him the car, and that car just came out of a shop. Now, the police department is inspected this vehicle on body cam, and they find out the brakes didn't work, the transmission, drive shaft disconnected from the engine, and we're finding out details that they put in the wrong transmission. There are bolts that's open. The brake doesn't work. The police mechanic is admitting that there is mechanical failure, not mechanical failure, vehicle failure. The brakes don't work and the transmission disconnected. Now, did the shop put in the wrong transmission? Is there a modified connector that's not supposed to be there? Details are coming out. Did the shop not do a good job? There are details that the 16-year-old daughter, Dorothy, her dad works for a club owner that had a problem with Mustafa, a strip club owner. And if you know anything about when you have a problem with a strip club owner, Mustafa went to that location. He was running his, promoting his business, selling his product out of that business in that area. Now, the club owner has a problem. A month into that problem, Mustafa meets Dorothy, and apparently in the background, Dorothy's daughter, who doesn't live with them, separated by CPS, her dad works for that strip club owner. There is audio conversation where the daughter is soliciting the ex-boyfriend to kill Mustafa and make it look like an accident. There is a lot of details that are coming out that we're looking into. At the end of the day,
Puzzle piece.
it's disturbing. At the end of the day, the police department mechanic is admitting there's brake failure, there's transmission failure, there's vehicle failure. When Mustafa hit the brake did not work. At 55, now if you drive it at 20, at 30, you're good. But going at that speed, which is the speed limit, 55 is the speed limit. At that speed, when he needed his brake, he hits the brake, the vehicle lost control. It's on dash camera. The whole entire thing is a vehicle accident. The police mechanic is admitting this is a vehicle accident. Now the question is, what happened to Mustafa's vehicle? Is it tampered with? Is it a mistake on the shop? We're going to get to the bottom of it. These details are going to come out. We already have evidence that are leading into certain scenarios. The FBI is investigating. This evidence has been given to the Department of Justice. There are FBI agents that are working the case and investigating these individuals, investigating this county, asking where's the accountability under Chief of Police Peter Newsham. In light of these body cams being released, you can't not have an investigation. Individuals that pretended to be witnesses, when now we have their body cams, are fabricating a testimony, fabricating an identity. That's all being looked into. On that note, let's continue watching this nurse.
Transmission was out. And then they replaced my tie rods and parts.
Okay.
Upward, lower. I mean, it was like other stuff in the components of the car.
How long ago did you get it back? Like a week ago, a month ago?
I just got it back. Let's see. I'm trying to think what it's like. It's not a week ago.
Like a couple days?
No. I've had it parked for like a month at a time. Like I wouldn't drive it much unless I'm going to the store and coming back, like up the street, coming back.
Okay.
But I don't know what happened.
Okay. Look, I want to make sure there's nothing in your system, no drugs, nothing like that. Okay? Would you be willing to give us a blood sample so we can make sure you're good?
Do I have a choice?
Well, there's kind of two avenues we can go down. One is you give full consent, and the lovely hospital staff here takes your blood, gives a little kit, gives it to us. It's 100% consensual. You're not under arrest, nothing like that right now. Nothing like that. It is 100% consensual. Option B is search warrant.
Now, when you listen to this, in the background, we have a giant lawsuit. Mustafa is filing a giant lawsuit against the police. There's over $500,000 lawsuit that Mustafa has against the police. Our house in 2018 was raided by the police without a warrant. They violated and came into our house, charged everybody with assault by mob. And when this went to court, they dropped the whole entire thing because it's the other way around. A tow truck driver shows up in the middle of the night trying to tow your own vehicle. And what do the police do? They raid your house. Because apparently the tow truck driver is connected in the county. It's a small county that we live in. And he does all the police towing. Whatever is going on, they violated our rights, entered our house, took over the house for 12 hours, and charged us with assault by mob. We don't trust the police. Automatically, there is this tension that we're suing the police. So when this officer is standing over Mustafa's head and he's like, we want to draw your blood. Now keep in mind, the body cam before this, the paramedic, the off-duty paramedic, tells Investigator Drum that Mustafa is in a concussion. He thinks this is that Obama is the president, and he's telling him there's a concussion. Mustafa is under a concussion, and then when you hear what Mustafa is telling the police officer, he's talking about COVID. He's telling the other paramedic Obama is the president. In the background, we don't trust the police. At the end of the day, what this officer did, he took Mustafa's blood. He falsified the warrant, signed his own warrant. You see it when you zoom in on the body cam. The officer, Chad Mason, signed his own warrant. And that's illegal. Took 2 vials of blood from Mustafa, ran a toxicology report anyway. Mustafa did not give him consent to draw blood. But this officer ran a toxicology report, drew Mustafa's blood with the help of that nurse. Drew Mustafa's blood. If you zoom in, you see 2 vials of blood, Mustafa. And Chad Mason signed the warrant. Now, they ran a toxicology report. No alcohol, no drugs. So they had to release Mustafa. I mean, Mustafa's not under the influence. His girlfriend's not under the influence. Now, what are they telling the kids in the meantime? They tell the kids that this Mustafa ran away from the scene. Left your 5-year-old baby sister in the vehicle, and we could have saved her if it wasn't for Mustafa running away. I mean, here we are watching a body cam where Mustafa is helicoptered to the hospital. Mustafa is injected with 50 mcg of F, and Mustafa is being interrogated by this officer. Mustafa is released by this officer. In the later body cam, you'll see that they release Mustafa.
And then I take your blood. I would much rather have it be consensual. Like I said, you're not under arrest, nothing like that. But as you know, you're going to consent to getting your blood drawn right now.
Consent? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't consent.
Okay, so you're not going to consent to it?
No due respect.
Okay, that's fine. So, I have a search warrant right here.
Yes, sir.
That says you shall give me your blood.
Okay.
So, are you going to give me the blood under the search warrant?
If I have to.
Yeah, this says you got to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no ifs and buts about this one.
Yes, sir. I mean, to be honest with you, whatever you say, I respect you as.
Well, it's your consent.
Yeah. So
You either give consent or you don't. If you give consent, we take it. If you don't consent, they'll have a warrant and they'll take it anyway.
yeah,
Okay, so if I say I don't consent, like respectfully, you're gonna take it anyways?
yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
Yes, sir. Like I don't consent, but like you know.
so you're not consenting, so I have to use a search warrant to take it.
That's fine.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
You don't mind drawing?
Yeah, I'll have the lab come up and do all that.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Coolio.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
That's fine. So while we're waiting for the lab to get up here, I do have to tell you. So well, go ahead, do it. You got ask your question.
I'm good. Just making sure everything's still, that way I can assess neurologically too.
So your girlfriend was riding a shotgun. Okay, she wasn't. So you weren't wearing your seatbelt, neither was she. So the Suburban hit her right on her driver's door, or right on her passenger's door. I'm sorry, where her and her daughter were sitting. Her injuries were real bad. I haven't got fully word yet, but her prognosis was not good. The possibility of her living is very, very slim. I'm waiting for the final word whether she's passed or not.
Please, like.
That being said, her daughter in the backseat, her injuries were very severe as well. They're working on her currently still. I don't know what her current condition is, but she is in very, 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 very serious condition as well. I don't know her current status, but they're both severely injured.
Can I talk to her?
What's that?
Can I talk to her?
To who?
Can I talk to my girlfriend?
No, she's hurt real bad. She's at a different hospital.
Where is she located?
She's in Woodbridge. She's not here.
She's in Woodbridge?
Yeah.
Where am I?
You're in Fairfax Hospital.
Okay. Can I go to Woodbridge?
No.
No, you're in a higher acuity hospital than she is.
What does that mean?
You're getting.
Am I more hurt than she is?
No.
No.
What does that mean?
She is gravely injured. She may not make it. That's what he's trying to tell you. And her daughter is also extremely injured. We don't know for certain the exact extent of that. But the doctors are working right now to try and help her.
I appreciate it.
Okay, of course. I know it can be confusing, and that's why I don't mean to sound blunt. I hope you don't think that. I'm just trying to use as plain language as I can because I know that everything's kind of confusing for you right now.
Everything is designed. Everything that you read is designed. Anything that is a sign on the street.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay. Well, what we've done so far is we stabilized you medically. We did CAT scans of several different areas of your body because there are some injuries that we can't always see from the outside. So we wanted the CAT scans to look at the inside. Okay? And so we're just waiting for the radiologist to look at all of those scans and tell us how you're doing inside. But right now, and especially that's why I'm hanging out here, is because I wanted to hear what you had to say, make sure that you're coherent, make sure you're not having any severe pain, and that nothing's changing quickly that we need to intervene. But right now, you're looking okay. Your vital signs are stable. But we're going to keep a very close watch on you regardless to be sure it doesn't change.
Okay.
All right?
Can I get up just a little bit?
Unfortunately, until I know what's going on internally and with your neck, I can't move you. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you please tell me what's going on? Like, what's happening?
Right now, you're at the hospital at Fairfax, and we're trying to get all of the testing back so that we know what injuries you have.
Okay.
Okay?
I just want to know if everybody else is okay. Like,
I know, and unfortunately, I may not have those answers right away, but we will let you know as soon as we're able. Okay? I'll go let them know.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
So you have an officer guarding the door, And Judge Carol Weimer want to say this is not an interrogation. That's interesting. You see this doctor is telling Mustafa something, and then Officer Chad Mason is yelling at Mustafa. And at one point, you'll see him shushing the fuck out of Mustafa. And then I'm muting his body cam. What is Mustafa telling him? What is the investigator telling Mustafa? Is Mustafa, it sounds like Mustafa is asking about his family, that they've been telling him for the past 4 hours that they're good, they're going to be okay. And all of a sudden, they're telling him that your family is gone. What were you lying to me about for the past 4 hours if my family has been dead 4 hours ago? So his family has been deceased 4 hours ago, but for 4 hours they're toying with Mustafa. I mean, 2145, he just told him that your family is hurt, but we're taking care of them. And before, if you watch the body cam before it, your family is okay. We're taking care of them. Your family is good. We're taking care of them. And then all of a sudden, at 21:57, he tells him, yeah, they've been deceased 4 hours ago. So what were you doing to Mustafa for 4 hours, toying with him? Is this the part where you turn on your camera, knowing that he's under 50 mcg, that he's not going to have a reaction, that he's going to be out of it because of what the paramedic injected him with? 50 mcg, you're out of it for 9 hours. So you're going to, that's the part where you record him, that you're going to drop this on Mustafa. Your family has been unalived, deceased 4 hours ago, and you're hoping that he's going to be out of it and not have a reaction, to give this video to the prosecutor and show, prosecutor, look, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about his family. Why are you interrogating him knowing that he's under 50 mcg? And then when you realize that, yes, he is having a reaction, he cares about his family, he's crying for his family, you seal off this body cam and you falsify the police report and you say that he didn't care about his family. Let's watch this body cam.
Alright, so the little girl, she's stable right now. She's upstairs here at the hospital. She's stable right now. Okay? Her mom, your girlfriend, she didn't make it. She's dead. She died at about 7 o'clock.
Judge Carol Weimer seals off this from being on the record. The jury is not allowed to see this body cam. What the jury is going to see is the police report by Chad Mason that's falsified. Chad Mason in his police report says, when I notified that Mustafa, that his family is deceased, Mustafa did not have a reaction, did not care about his family being deceased. That's what the police report says. When you watch the body cam, you see Mustafa is broken, crying for his family. Judge Carol Weimer sealed this body cam and then removes it from the record. They don't want the jury to see that Mustafa cares about his family. Anything that shows that Mustafa cares about his family, Judge Carol Weimer is actively engaging in helping this prosecutor lie about Mustafa. And you want to tell me that Judge Carol Weimer is impartial in this case? Unfortunately for him, we have the body cam and the community is watching what this judge is doing behind closed doors. You have an officer guarding the door. You have an investigator, interrogator Mustafa, along with a nurse that identifies herself as law enforcement and is acting law enforcement. She says, we have to blah, blah, blah. She refers to herself as law enforcement. Now, the family in the lobby is being threatened by the police, by this investigator, that if they ask about their loved one, if they ask about Mustafa, one more time, I'm going to drag you off the property, I'm going to arrest you. And you want to tell me this whole entire thing is being ruled out by Judge Carol Weimer as not an interrogation? Then what the fuck is an interrogation? He's hoping, he's comfortable, Judge Carol Weimer is comfortable that the body cams are sealed. Who's going to verify what we're talking about? I mean, I can tell you, if I didn't have this body cam, I can tell you about this all day long, and there is no way that you can verify whether Judge Carol Weimer is impartial. But even though he's in circuit court, and this is on the record, you can read the transcript, but there's no way that I can prove that Judge Carol Weimer is actually doing this. Now that we have the body cam, he's comfortable. He was comfortable that the body cams are sealed. It's not going to be seen by the community. Who's going to verify? But now that we have this body cam, we can actually prove that this judge is impartial.
Yeah, I'm gonna get your parents, bring your moms. We're gonna be out of here then. Any questions? Yeah, I'm gonna get your parents, bring your moms back, okay? Yep. Alright, let me go get moms.
This is the part where this investigator signs off his own warrant, extract Mustafa's blood, and they find out they can't hold Mustafa for his blood is clean for alcohol, his blood is clean for drugs, and even they falsified the warrant. And the warrant, when you zoom in on the warrant, you see Chad Mason. He signed his own warrant. Extract Mustafa's blood without consent, and they find themselves in a position where the blood is clean. So they have to release Mustafa. So they release Mustafa. But what did they tell the kids? That Mustafa ran away and left your 5-year-old baby sister in the car. And if it wasn't for Mustafa running away, we could have saved your baby sister. Now that they can't get Mustafa for drugs or alcohol, they can't get Mustafa for driving reckless, what did they do? They're weaponizing the kids against Mustafa by lying to the kids.
We're gonna be out of here then. Any questions? Yeah, I'm gonna get your parents, bring your moms.
You see what he's telling Chad Mason? Can you check on the rest of the kids? Can you call the neighbor? Nini? He's asking for Nini, the person that he thought was a normal person, a person that he trusted, a neighbor that he trusted. Nini, Kim Coleman, Tanisha Coleman. But when you watch the body cams, you'll see that Investigator Drum, within hours of this vehicle accident, is calling Nini, and he's telling her that this is intentional, that Mustafa ran away, and you have Investigator Drum. Now, this investigator hasn't seen the dash camera, hasn't talked to Mustafa, hasn't investigated this vehicle accident. What is he doing? Calling the neighbor, that the neighbor is in possession of the kids. What is he doing? Telling the neighbor that has the kids that this is intentional, and the same investigator that on body cam you see telling another police officer, he's telling Chad Mason, this is a vehicle accident. All these are his skid marks. Mustafa did everything he can. He cleared the vehicle, and the SUV T-boned him. So Mustafa did everything he can to avoid the vehicle accident. The same investigator that calls the neighbor and said Mustafa did this on purpose is seen on his own body cam admit this is a vehicle accident and that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid the vehicle accident. What did they do they're attempting to weaponize the kids, weaponize the neighbors, weaponize the kids. We have their body cams now, and we see what they're telling the neighbor on a body cam. And the kids, Jaden says, the investigator told me that Mustafa ran away. I mean, they're painting Mustafa as a monster. They put them in a forensic interview. They tell them that Mustafa ran away. When here we have the body cam, that Mustafa just came out of a coma. Mustafa is being interrogated. Mustafa is released by the police and by the hospital. But they're lying to the kids. And they think that all this is not going to come out to the community. Well, of course it wouldn't. This is a miracle that we have these body cams, the discovery, that we get to actually have a conversation. I mean, it's a common practice in Prince William County that anytime you have police misconduct, they seal off the discovery. They seal off the body cam. We've seen it in 18-year-old Juan Campos, the individual that was deceased 9 days into his incarceration at Prince William County. You can't access his body cams, and you can't access the jail videos. You can FOIA all you want. They're not going to give you the body cams or the discovery. Tatiana David, we see a black girl dragged out of a vehicle with 50 bullet hole in her, AR-15 bullet hole. They reposition her somewhere else, and they pretend that they found her outside the vehicle. Police misconduct is a very polite way to call this police misconduct. And they seal off the body cam, they seal off the discovery. This is a common practice for Chief of Police Peter Newsham. This is a common practice for Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, that anytime you have police misconduct, they seal off the material. It's a miracle that we have this body cam, that we get to see the details of what they've been doing to Mustafa Al-Jazari for the past 2 years.
Yep. All right, let me go get Mom's. Then we can get GTF up. Okay. Okay, so we're all done with him. So you'll.
That's Mom. That's my brother Muhammad. That's my sister Bonnie.
Quick, I need to get some information. What's your name, ma'am?
And they're releasing Mustafa. Now, a lot of people are trolling the conversation. The hospital and the police would not release Mustafa if his toxicology report showed that he was under the influence. Mustafa's toxicology report, no alcohol and no drugs. Now, you control the conversation all you want. The body cams are in the public domain. And we're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a conversation about the detail in this case.
Okay. All right. No, I'm gonna. So, like I said, he's probably gonna discharge him soon. So they'll be able to have y'all come back. I want to tell the nurse so that when they're ready, just to make sure that they don't have anything else they need to do real quick, that it's okay for y'all to come back. So it should only be a couple minutes, okay? Okay. Appreciate it.
The specific body cam that I wanted to watch. This one. I mean, in what world it's okay for you to get a call from the police department that your brother is in a coma? You get to the hospital only to have this scenario plays out, where a police officer is threatening your family with an arrest, with getting dragged off the property, and in the background you find out that your brother is being induced by the paramedic with 50 mcg of F, and he's getting interrogated. Doesn't know where he's at. He doesn't know what. He just came out of a major concussion, coma, and you've injected him with 50 mcg of F, and you're sitting there interrogating him, and the nurse, who you would think would stop this bullshit, no. Instead, she identifies herself as law enforcement and engage in an interrogation with the police. You're guarding the door. You're interrogating him. You're threatening the family, knowing that he's on 50 mcg of F.
Hello. You're here for Mustafa? Okay. My name is Vasquez Mason. I'm one of the ones invested in the crash he was involved in this evening. He's in the back. He's getting some further testing and whatnot done right now. We have some more talking we need to do with him. And then once we get all that taken care of, we'll bring some of y'all back.
But I want to see him.
I'm sorry?
I want to see him.
Okay, well, you're going to have to wait.
I want to talk to him.
Okay, well, you're going to have to wait.
The reason I asked for you, I want you to take me to him.
Okay, that's not happening right now.
I'm his mom.
Okay.
If he's sick, if he got injured, I will
okay,
talk to him.
ma'am.
I want to talk to him.
Okay, ma'am.
I want to see if he's awake.
Okay. He is awake. He is getting testing done. We have a little more to do for our investigation. Then you'll be able to come back and talk to him. He is an adult.
But he needs someone to talk to him. I want to talk to him.
How old is he?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No.
Because you're not coming back.
No.
If he was underage, then he can come back. He can come back. He's not underage. We have to do some more investigative work right now.
How long?
I'm sorry?
For how long?
I don't know yet. It depends on your son.
You need someone with him. I need me.
He is fine.
He needs me.
No, he's fine. He doesn't need anybody with him. He's awake. He will. You can stay here and wait until we're done. Okay?
That's my mom.
Once we're done.
My brother Mohammed. My sister Maha. My dad is in the background.
He's getting testing done. I just got up here about 10 minutes ago myself. Okay?
He's awake.
He's awake. Yeah, I talked to him on the scene. And he's awake and he's awake here. Okay?
Can I FaceTime him?
No.
It's okay, FaceTime him.
Ma'am, you're going to have to wait. Okay? Be happy your son is awake. It is better than the other people that were in his car.
Yes.
So
Be happy that your son is awake.
That's true. That's true.
But to tell that to a fucking mother, be happy that your son is awake, is a fucking crime. Be happy that your son is awake, knowing everything that we know. That Mustafa is in the back, injected with 50 mcg of F. That Mustafa is interrogated. That you have my mom is being screamed at by this fucking investigator. And he's insinuating, be happy that your son...
I need you to work with us. Do we? No.
It's okay, FaceTime him.
Ma'am, you're going to have to wait. Okay? Be happy your son is awake. It is better than the other people that were in his car.
Yes.
So I'm going to need you to work with us. Do we understand?
I understand, but you should understand. He's
Ma'am.
my son.
Okay?
In the meantime, these investigators are weaponizing the kids against Mustafa. These investigators are engaged in falsifying police reports. These investigators have lied about every police report and they concealed everything. For them to sit here and talk to my mom like this, they thought that these, when I used to tell them, when I used to tell this community that they threatened my mom, they told my mom this, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, imagine you get a phone call that your son is in a coma and you show up to an investigator, Chad Mason, telling you this. I mean, he's already blaming Mustafa. I mean, what is that supposed to mean? I'll tell you what that means. He's blaming Mustafa for this accident. Be happy that your fucking son is alive. That's what it means. That's exactly what it fucking means.
Be happy your son is awake. It is better than the other people that were in his car.
He's talking to a Muslim lady with a scarf, a Mustafa Mustafa doesn't fit his criteria to be a human being. Be happy that your fucking son is alive. You fucking animal. That's what that means. Let's really talk about what Chad Mason meant in that comment. Your son, the fucking animal, is alive. He's not talking to a mother. He's not talking about someone that just lost his family. He's insinuating that Mustafa is an animal. He's talking to a mother of an animal. And be happy that your fucking animal is alive.
On the scene, and he's awake. We're done, then...
I'm asking you the truth about his condition.
I don't know. He's getting testing done. I just got up here about 10 minutes ago myself. Okay?
He's awake. Like,
he's awake, yeah. I talked to him on the scene. And he's awake, here. Okay?
Can I FaceTime?
No.
It's okay, FaceTime.
Ma'am, you're going to have to wait. Okay? Be happy your son is awake. It is better than the other people that were in his car.
Yes.
So I'm going to need you to work with us. Do we understand?
I understand, but you should understand me.
Ma'am.
He's my son.
Okay.
No one can stop me from seeing him.
Well, right now the hospital can't, because they're not going to let you back there. And I'm not going to let you back there. So you can chill it out and wait, or they'll have you removed from the property. That's where we're at.
Why you are mad?
I'm not mad.
You should help me.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you.
Yes,
but
you don't do this. You should be with me. You should be.
When you can come back, we'll let you know. Okay.
My situation.
I'm going to remove you from the property.
But you're not understanding. Take care of her.
Or I'm going to remove you from the property. You know, for the past 2 years, we talk about this, and it's unbelievable. You know, every single person that I told this story to is looking at me like, no way that this happened. You're a police officer, is threatening your mom that he's going to drag her off the property. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's a miracle that we have this body cam. It's a miracle that we get to have a conversation about Judge Carol Weimer. I mean, why is it that these body cams are sealed off from the community and are sealed off from the jury? The jury? You're sealing off this from the jury? You're sealing off that Mustafa is crying about his family, is broken about his family? Why are you sealing that off? I mean, this is a very calculated effort to have an impartial trial. I mean, you don't want a fair trial. Anything that humanizes Mustafa, anything that shows who Mustafa is, anything that shows that Mustafa gave a fuck about his family is being sealed off, removed. I mean, there is a body cam where Mustafa was arrested when he's hyperventilating and he's telling the officer, I can't breathe. They removed that video from the jury. They don't want the jury to see that Mustafa is crying for his family. We're having a conversation about Judge Carol Weimer. Is he partial? Is he impartial? I mean, my job is to leak out this information, talk about it. I don't give a fuck what you think. You go home and think about what the fuck you're watching here. And if it's okay for you that if you were in this position, that these officers treated you, treated your son, treated your husband, treated your loved one, if this is okay by you, if you were in that shoes, that's what I'm asking, really. I mean, that's what I'm asking. I'm asking that you put yourself in that mother's shoes and tell me, is it okay for a police officer to talk to you that way? Is it?
Nope.
You know, I'll tell you, you would have, you know, Char, ma'am, you would have choked the officer. We talk about you choking your dog, ma'am. I promise you, you would have gotten up. I promise you would have choked Chad Mason. We talk about and joke about you choking your dog. This is not okay. It's not okay. And these people are, you know, they're comfortable. You know, this officer is comfortable to talk to that mother like this because, I mean, who's going to verify what he's telling that mother? No one's going to verify this. His body cams is sealed off by the Commonwealth Attorney. He knows it's going to get sealed off by the Commonwealth Attorney. He knows he's been on the force for going on 20 years. He's comfortable. It's a common practice that if there's anything that goes on as far as police misconduct, they protect you and seal off your body cam. I mean, we saw it happen with Tatiana David. I mean, they've unalived a human being. But unfortunately for him, there's a lot of good police officers in our county that are not okay with police misconduct. They supplied us with these body cams. We get to leak them on the internet to have a conversation. There is 2 more body cams that I want to go over before we end this beautiful podcast that I thought was going to be under an hour. It's going over 2 hours, but that's okay.
You talk a lot.
Yes, ma'am, and I have a problem where I like to hear myself talk. You don't know what goes on after I'm done with the podcast. I watch my own podcast.
Hear yourself talk.
And I force the whole family to watch that podcast. It's terrifying.
I'm sorry, family.
All right, so there's 2 body cams that I wanted to. Let's see. These are short clips from the Google Nest. Let's see.
How I kicked my drinking habit. Hey, look, I'm a guy. I love drinking beer. It makes me feel.
This is April 3rd at 7:48 a.m. You see Jaden. This is Jaden, the same Jaden that's beating himself up in a forensic interview, telling the forensic lady with the police department, I always trusted Mustafa. Mom always told me to trust Mustafa. It gives you insight into how much he loved Mustafa. And after the police lied to Jaden, they weaponized him against Mustafa.
Just play your game.
This is 3 days before the vehicle accident.
No.
No.
You want to tell me that kid hates Mustafa?
What the heck?
Mustafa's right here. Dorothy's in bed.
It's not gonna reach.
7:45 in the morning.
Please don't be late. It's 7:49. No. Are you logging in? Log in, please.
Mustafa is taking him to school. Mustafa is making sure that Dorothy logs in. She's a nurse from home. You want to tell me Mustafa hates Jaden, or Jaden hates Mustafa, or he hates Dorothy? This is a beautiful relationship. The prosecutor is terrified that this Google Nest is coming out. The witnesses that lied about Mustafa, that say Mustafa is a horrible human being, and they say we were never there, but yes, Mustafa is a horrible human being. They're terrified that the Google Nest is coming out. Like the ex-boyfriend, Glenn Ford, Amy Hodgkins, aka Christine Alcazai, 16-year-old Kylie at the time, who today is 18, was never at the apartment. Apparently her dad works for Billy, the club owner that Mustafa went out of business a month before that incident happened, a month before he met Dorothy. Mustafa doesn't know. But you have a 16-year-old in the background, hates the fuck out of Mustafa. Why? Because your dad works for Billy, that he almost ran out of business. You're hanging out with those strippers, and you're repeating those sentiments. You hate your mom's new boyfriend because of what? You're coming and you're hanging around those people. Why do you hate Mustafa? You don't even know Mustafa. But apparently your dad and you hang out with all the strippers that hate Mustafa. So what do? You hate Mustafa. And find out that she was never at the apartment. She's telling the police a lot of hearsay into Mustafa's character, and she says, yeah, I was never there. Really? And the police department is sitting there eating this up? Using a 16-year-old daughter that solicited to get Mustafa unalived. She went up to Glenn Ford on a recorded line and asked Glenn Ford to unalive Mustafa.
Today, we're talking downtime.
You're gonna use that girl into Mustafa's character? The police department? This is Dorothy.
You're going with me to see Grandma for her birthday.
What did she say? You're going with me to see Grandma. This is April 5th at 12:29. Pharaoh, in a forensic interview, tells us that Mom is the one that wanted Mustafa to go with her. Mom is the one that told Empress, 5-year-old Empress, to go with her. This contradicts the narrative of the prosecutor. The prosecutor in court is screaming that Mustafa premeditated this. This is premeditated M1. That Mustafa wanted to do this on purpose. Specifically, she said that Mustafa is the one that was his idea that Dorothy goes with him on that day. That it was his idea for 5-year-old Empress to go with him in the car that day. It was his idea to leave the boys at home. It was his idea because he premeditated it. He wanted to crash the vehicle on purpose. What the fuck did we just watch with Dorothy saying to Empress? The prosecutor is terrified.
You're going with me to see Grandma for her birthday.
I have an idea. Do you want to give Grandma your flowers?
That's what I'm gonna give her the pink flowers out there that light up.
So you're gonna give her that one?
Shoes on. Pharaoh, are you coming with me to the cemetery? It's Grandma's birthday today. If you don't want to, you can stay here. I don't care. I just want to go.
Pharaoh doesn't want to go. Mom was asking him. He doesn't want to go.
Empress, get your shoes on.
Dorothy asked Empress to go with her. This is Jaden. That's April 3rd, 9:53. Jaden, Nini's child, in Mustafa's apartment, and at one point you see him call Mustafa dad, call Dorothy mom. That's Nini's child. Now, you have on a body cam investigator Drum tell Nini that this is intention within hours of the vehicle accident. On other body cams, he's telling his other police, Chad Mason, the other investigator, that this is a vehicle accident. Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. But then when he calls the neighbor, he tells her, yep, this is intentional. Now, Nini, the mother of that child, has the kids in her possession. And these investigators know that because they told my brother, they told Muhammad that under no circumstances can you take the kids with you. You have to leave them there. In one of the body cams, you'll see, in one of the videos, you'll see Nini at one point says, leave the kids with me, don't call the police. But my brother called the police anyway. And they're telling him, you can't take the kids. Now, they know that the kids are in the possession of Nini, the neighbor. What are they feeding Nini? They're telling her, he did it on purpose. They're lying to the neighbor. Dorothy's child, Jaden, says an investigator told him that Mustafa ran away. Left your 5-year-old baby sister in the car. And if he hadn't ran away, she would have still been alive today. They're painting a monster to the neighbor, to the kids. They're painting a monster, even though they know this is a vehicle accident. Nini tells investigator Drum, Kim Coleman, Nini, tells investigator Drum that Dorothy had told her that Mustafa peed on his girlfriend. In the body cam, when you listen to the body cam, you'll hear Nini say that. Now, the question is, if Dorothy really told her that Mustafa peed on her, what are you doing leaving your child in that apartment? On the 3rd, there are body cams that's on the 4th, and body cams on the 5th. Nini, you're lying to the police. If that was true, you wouldn't leave your child in Mustafa's apartment. As a matter of fact, that child is walking up to Mustafa and Dorothy, calling them dad and mom. You'll hear in the body cams, in the Google Nest. Why is Nini lying to the police? Why is the ex-boyfriend lying to the police? When you watch the Google Nest, they contradict everything the prosecutor is saying, everything the neighbor is saying, everything the ex-boyfriend is saying, Glenn Ford, everything that Amy Hodgkins is saying, everything that Kylie, 16-year-old Kylie, is saying. They're terrified that the Google Nest is coming out. That in fact, that it was a beautiful relationship. And apparently, Kylie, 16-year-old Kylie, is connected with Billy. Her dad works for the club owner that Mustafa almost ran out of business. Mustafa didn't know. No one knew. I mean, it's been 2 years. We just found out. We're trying to figure out who is Kylie and what is Kylie and why is Kylie saying what she's saying. Apparently, her dad worked for a club owner that is angry at Mustafa for almost running out of business. I mean, that's Jaden. That's Nini's child. That's Dorothy's other child. You want to tell me this is an abusive home? You want to tell me that these kids are abused by Mustafa? Are we all watching the same thing? This prosecutor is terrified. You have a judge, Carol Weimer, who knows about these videos over a year ago. Mustafa's lawyer, in circuit court, told Judge Carol Weimer, Your Honor, I have Google Nest videos, hours and hours of Google Nest videos, that contradict what the prosecutor is saying about Mustafa.
Do you need some water to wake up, sir?
And they're not on the record. It's been 2 years. Why are they avoiding the giant elephant in their room? That's Empress, 5-year-old Empress.
Oh, hell no. Protect her. Mom, Sean's being a bad boy.
That's Empress, Nini's child,
Mom, you're next.
Jaden, Dorothy's in the back. That's Mustafa.
What are you guys doing? What the fuck is this?
They're playing with the water gun.
I'll beat you on it.
I'll put you in a fucking frying pan and cook you up like fucking pork chop, bitch.
I'll beat you.
I mean, does these kids look terrified from Mustafa? That's Dorothy's child. Imagine. I mean, those kids, they look like they love Mustafa. The door is closed, and they're playing with Mustafa. They're not terrified from Mustafa. It shows that they love Mustafa. I mean, here they're playing with a gun, water gun. Is this why the prosecutor is terrified? The prosecutor is terrified because there's Google Nest that show that the kids love Mustafa and Mustafa love the kids. It's been 2 years. I mean, the police department is avoiding these videos. The prosecutor is avoiding these videos. Judge Carol Weimer, who knows about these videos, is avoiding these videos. I mean, Jaden and Imagine and Pharaoh love Mustafa, but when the police department gets involved and weaponize these kids against Mustafa, Jaden is sitting there beating himself up. I mean, imagine if this was your child being weaponized against you. It's a miracle that we have the Google Nest. It's a miracle that I don't have to sit here and tell you my brother loved his family. It's a miracle that we have these videos, that we can show this community that this police department lied.
Hi.
Hey, listen, man.
This is 3 days before the vehicle accident. 3 days. April 3rd, the accident happened. 2 days later.
Exactly. Stop. Stop before I smack you with this water gun. Are you done fucking around?
That's Dorothy.
You got me wet.
She has a water gun. Mustafa has a water gun. This police department is terrified. I cannot wait for trial. I cannot wait for trial. in light of the police body cams that are released, in light of the discovery being released, in light of the Google Nest being released out to the community, do you honestly think this prosecutor is going to be able to lie about my brother?
That's not water, that's soda. Alright, you guys gonna stop? Yeah.
It's game over for this prosecutor. It's game over for this chief of police. And we ask for accountability. We ask the chief of police come out and have an actual conversation. And instead of being on a podcast where he's sitting there talking about nothing, Chief of Police Peter Newsham, wake up and smell the coffee. You have body cams. You have body cams that are released, sensitive material, body cams, discovery, sealed off, and it's all over the internet. And this chief of police is hoping maybe if I look the other way, maybe it's just going to go away. I mean, sir, you're on a podcast at our local high school, and you're talking about nothing in light of the Mustafa Al-Jazari case material being leaked out on the internet, in light of Tatiana David body cams getting released on the internet, and you're sitting there talking about nothing. I mean, you have a black girl getting dragged by Prince William County Police Department, rolled around like a pretzel with 50 bullet holes. Her whole body is riddled with 50 bullet holes. And you want to tell me that you're going to sit in our local high school and talk about nothing? I mean, at one point, are we going to ask the question, what the fuck are we watching here? This is Tatiana David. Her body is riddled with bullets by an AR-15, by a police officer. They tell the community that we found her outside the vehicle, when in fact what they've done is dragged her out of the vehicle. They put 50 bullet hole into an abductee, rolled her around like a pretzel, dragged her, repositioned her body somewhere else, sealed off her body cams. The same way they sealed off Mustafa's body cams, they sealed off Tatiana David's body cams. And you have Officer Chad Mason, gesturing to his head. He's like, yep, we took her out. And then the police department pretend to look the other way. Maybe this is going to go away. I mean, the same police officer that falsified and laughed at my brother when they showed up at the vehicle accident, Officer Casey Fines. The same police officer is seen on this body cam laughing at Tatiana David, body riddled with bullets. I mean, you just dragged her out of the vehicle and pretended that you found her outside the vehicle. I mean, you have Officer Casey Fines feet away from Tatiana David's body, and you're sitting there laughing and joking. The same way you're standing and laughing at my brother in a coma right in front of his vehicle. Falsifying and tampering with witnesses. We see you on this body cam, feet away from Tatiana David. After your police officers, after you just got done dragging this black girl out of her vehicle, reposition her somewhere else and pretending, oh, we found her outside the vehicle, we don't know who shot her. Insinuating that her boyfriend is the one that shot her, when her body is riddled with AR-15 bullet holes. And then we have Chief of Police Peter Newsham on the podcast talk about nothing. Well, Chief of Police Peter Newsham, if you stick your head long enough in the sand, you're hoping that we're gonna go away. I'm here to tell you we're not going away. Our voice is getting louder every day. And you have the federal government now investigating your county. The DOJ, the FBI, in light of these body cams and discovery leaked out. And when the local government failed to do their job, we ask that the federal government do their job. Our voice is getting louder. The community is here. And we're not going away. We've got giant trucks. I'm working on a project in the background where I used to have my truck used to say Quantico Roadside Assistant on it. Put that company on hold. And we're putting Mustafa's picture, Mustafa's name on it. And we're going to be out in the community. Wherever you get your coffee, wherever you get your bagel in the morning, whenever you get your coffee at night, when you get off work, we're going to be at those gas stations, passing out cards, driving our giant trucks, and we know about social media and how they shadow ban your social media. Our social media is shadow banned. It doesn't take an expert to understand what that means. They're hoping that the community is not going to see what we're talking about. But I'll tell you, you can't shadow ban us physically out in the community. When I'm physically there with my giant trucks, talking to people, telling them about what's on the internet. And our voice is only getting louder. Now, I want to thank everybody that's been here with us. And everybody that's been here and watching what's going on. I want to remind everybody that Mustafa needs a lawyer. And we're raising money for his lawyer. Mustafa's legal fund it's a Cash App. The legal fund is Mustafa Legal Fund. If you put that in your Cash App, you can donate to Mustafa's legal fund. Mustafa needs a lawyer. I want to thank Missy. I want to thank Farah for donating to Mustafa. Ma'am, I appreciate you. There's a lot that goes on in the background. A lot of it, I don't know how to go into details and explain what is needed to be able to bring out the truth to this community. It's an ongoing fight. We're going to continue to fight. And on that note, I want to thank everybody, Shelly, Colleen, Missy, everybody that's here. That I'm not mentioning, Casey, Becky, Farah, and of course I have to thank my mother. Now she's a mod on YouTube. If I forget to thank her, we're not gonna hear the end of it. On that note, I want to thank everybody for being here. This is not another boring.
Hang in there, okay?
Missy,
hang in there. It's time's getting short.
I love you, ma'am. I appreciate you. And this is not another boring podcast. Mustafa Al-Jazari through the police body cams. Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. We're going to shoot to be here again at 9 o'clock. Obviously, this podcast dragged over 3 hours. I was hoping that it was going to be under an hour. But in light of it being dragging over 3 hours, I don't know if we're going to have enough time for a podcast at 9 o'clock. I think what we're going to do, we're going to cancel the 9 o'clock podcast, and we'll see everybody tomorrow at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to have another podcast, and we're going to take a deep dive into the Google Nest the individuals that pretended to be witnesses, lie about Mustafa. We're going to dissect and take a deep dive into who Glenn Ford is, the jealous ex-boyfriend, Amy Hodgkins, the person that pretended to be, now is pretending to be Christine Alcazar. We've identified her, the person that picked up the phone, Dale. We supplied this information to the DOJ and the FBI that are investigating who that individual is. We're taking a deep dive into who 16-year-old Kylie is and who is she connected and why is she saying what she's saying to the police and what is her connection with Billy, the club owner, and her dad works for Billy. She solicited the murder of Mustafa Al-Jazari. She went up to Glenn Ford, the jealous ex-boyfriend, on a recorded line that we're going to have the community hear her solicit Mustafa to be murdered and make it look like an accident. We're going to take a deep dive into these conversations, these details. We're going to take a deep dive into the body cam. We're going to dissect the body cam. We're going to talk about why is a prosecutor terrified that the community is watching the dash camera. For a prosecutor that screams Mustafa is guilty, this prosecutor is sealing the dash camera from the community. We have the dash camera. We're going to take a deep dive into this dash camera, and it shows on dash camera that this is a vehicle accident, and they lied about Mustafa arguing inside the vehicle. On that note, I love everybody. This is not another important podcast, and Mustafa Al-Jazari through the police body cam, Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope, and of course, we have a beautiful cup that completes this beautiful podcast. On that note, I love everybody, and I will see everybody tomorrow at 3 o'clock.